Leche. 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 Get 'em, Jimmy, where low shack at? The bottle's getting nippy up the crack and we stacking chips, all of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated pub sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced, leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call a truce. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Thursday, November 2nd to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. It was an eventful Wednesday. So all these days are, clearly the unders, those two unders I bet in NHL, they hurt me. I live bet the Sabres Flyers under 8.5 when it was 2-2. But that's just $100 pop. So, and I did the same with Calgary Dallas and at under 7.5. And I thought I'd made a terrible mistake in the second period when Dallas was all over Calgary. And I thought I'd made a terrible mistake. I was pretty fortunate. And even that at the empty net with 20 seconds left, I was pretty fortunate. I was pretty fortunate to catch those two live bets. But even with the two live bets, I lose $220 in NHL. But NBA was great. The under in the Raptors game blew up in my face, but the Bucks didn't score. It was just that the Raptors erupted. We cashed Raptors +5. We cashed Timberwolves +2 very easily. So that worked. It worked nicely. And then college football, was good to us. For most, Ball State was the way we capped it. It worked out the way we capped it. But again, I was fortunate with that goal line stand late that forced Bowling Green into the field goal. And then I was fortunate that I didn't move on Kent State because I was beating myself up nonstop for not having Kent State on my card. So, overall, it's a winning day, and any day in the black is a good day. But I've slipped under slightly negative in NHL this year, and that is upsetting. Let me just make sure that this link is out here on X. There we go. Copy and paste that right now. Get this here. And then so much work to do. Nonstop work. We have the Breeders' Cup show in about 27 hours. It pops off. So tomorrow during the 11 a.m. time slot, we'll be betting with Bouquet. I'm going to come on at 2:30 for the, all day horse racing show. We'll go till about 8:30 or so at night. And then Championship Saturday is the following day. We have a huge, huge, huge day of action over here at Pub on Saturday because we have Saturday means football with Nadu and Loshak that rolls into the big college football live stream with Daby Cab and Connor Mack, and that is, they're doing the big Texas A&M game, Texas A&M Ole Miss, and then our show starts, and then at 4 p.m. we have UFC, so it's just a massive, massive, massive Saturday for us, and so much work needs to be done on this card, and I'm so excited to hammer this 12-game NHL card with Gogster. We've had a strong start, the two of us on Thursdays together. He's having a great start to the year. Then we have NFL. Gogster and I are going to talk the NFL game. Then we go into college football. So we're going to talk about the 3 college football games tonight. I've not moved on either of them. And then we're going to get into best bets with Daby Cab. And I have 2 best bets, and Daby Cab has 4. We went 3-2 on last week's best bets. I went 2-0, and Daby went 1-2. So we had a winning show last Thursday. We need another one this Thursday. And I'm very, very close to moving on 2 spots that CMAC talked about. And that is South Florida at +13.5 and UConn at +35.5. I'm very close to moving on both of those. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet. And after this show is over, I want to get my action in. My NFL looks great. I beat all the line moves except for the Bengals. which is okay. But I beat the line move on the total, and I beat line moves throughout this whole card in NFL. I would like to put in my last remaining action in college football, whether that be anything that we add today or UConn or in any NHL I add in any NBA, because we're going to have Darryl with us for NBA. I'm going to add in that action. Then I'm going to do the records for NFL Pub Hub and get the invites out. So that's all set up. So then at that point, I've got a ton of football action. So Saturday, I'm just full of football action. Sunday, I'm full of football action. And at that point, once the invites are out, I can focus solely on horses, which is something that I love doing. So that's my schedule. That's my situation. Thank you guys for being here with us. It's great to see all you guys. Viper NB in the house. He's got his action ready to go. He's on Rangers money line, Vegas -1, and Tampa Bay Lightning a -1. Interesting card there for you, Vipe. I spent a long time on this NHL card. I enjoy capping NHL very, very much. And I moved on 3 -1s, but not on those 3, although I looked very closely at them all. But let me copy and paste all of your action here, Vipe. Thank you for sharing that with us. Dan Kelly in the house says, if the Magic have a lead at halftime, look to get on the Jazz. The elevation should bother the young magicians, as they've been at sea level for a while now, and they're playing their 3rd game in 4 nights. That's a beautiful. It was amazing to see the Jazz take care of business. Wasn't it interesting how the public, we have to acknowledge it, the public was all over the Milwaukee Bucks, and the public was all over the Denver Nuggets, and the line wasn't moving, and those were as easy as cashers as you'll ever have with the Raptors and Timberwolves. I mean, it's crucial stuff that we need to be constantly aware of. And the surprise of the night for me was that the Jazz just destroyed the Grizzlies, and I would have liked to have been on the Jazz, but that market didn't make sense to me, so I stayed off here. And Dan Kelly says, FanDuel, you can get Memphis under 41.5 regular season wins at even money. So he just added to his position. He got on the under the day Steven Adams went down for the season. I love that look. Makes a ton of sense. Stacks play today. Pistons +7 in the house. Equinimus says, go Sabres. I don't think I was, sitting with those losses in the totals in those hockey games, and there were some weak goals that Markstrom allowed. And now he made some big saves as well. And Dallas looked so much better than Calgary. And look, you guys were all talking about the trends for the first period over in Buffalo, Philadelphia. There were no goals scored in the second. I mean, if you had told me Philadelphia is going to score 2 goals in that game, well, I'm going to cash my +114 on the under 6.5. So I don't feel like it was I'm not going to be scared to go back to unders with Philadelphia at home. I mean, Carter Hart gets hurt 5 minutes into the game. He didn't look good before he got hurt. There was a lot of sort of things that went against me in those 2 spots, and I'm not going to let that keep me away. But I've been saying out loud nonstop that I don't want to be on totals in NBA, and my first total of the season I lose. But we're still 5-4 in NBA to start the year, and want to build confidence there. And it saved my night. The Wolves and the Raptors. Equinimus in the house. There's Bo Jackson, Serious Business, Swig Bets, Andrew G, Slow Jams, Arsenal. North Ender says, this is awesome. We just keep winning. Cash the first 5 under 4.5. The Raps, Wolves, and the Kings. Cash. Great job. Fly Mike White says, so much football. Can't wait. North Ender coming off a 3-1 night. Pelicans, Wolves, and Wizards and Clippers. There we go. Justin McElvey said, appreciate the Ball State. I felt like we were in control in the game, but we certainly needed that goal line stand badly. Certainly needed that badly. Saturated in the house, there is Jay Peasy. Says, got you broadcasting in an undisclosed location in Beverly Hills. Shout out to you, Jay Peasy. You're the man, dude. We just love capping with you so much. Von Polo, ready to get to work. Polo this, Polo that. Coming off very profitable night. Ian Shaver says, NHL keeping the lights on. We love it. And there is Ron Crawford on the spreadsheet play today on New Jersey -113. Big market move towards the Minnesota Wild. And, I talked about the Devil. Look, I think the Devils are an elite hockey team. And we're going to get into this with Gogster. But I am still concerned that their one line is going to do all the scoring. And with Nico Hischier out, and then again, like I had this issue in NFL where I was looking at my card and I was like, God, it starts off with all these public spots. do I want to be on road favorites? And at what point, and where do I draw the line? Like, I don't want to be on road favorites. So when I move on a road favorite, I have to have real conviction. And initially, I want to fade the Wild as much as possible, but I could not get there. But Ron Crawford cashed with NHL spreadsheet play the day yesterday with Dallas, and I need to update your NHL record. As I said, the records have become up to date, but I keep falling off just because of the amount of work that I have to do for the day-to-day cards and then preparing for the horses. So starting next week, you'll have each capper set up better than I have right now, and I apologize for that. It's just the work with Breeders' Cup Week is immense. Kadesh Dean in the house. There's Slow Jams Arsenal getting ready to rock. Great to see you. Slow Jams Markel. Swigbet says the UFC contest is live and on the Pub Sports Radio website. $100 to the winner, free to enter. Great call, Swiggy. He's the guy who runs our website, and he's a great, great guy. We love you, Swig. Rob Garvey in the house. There's Nut Flush Allen. It says, had to stop in and say good morning to my low bag family, even though I've been out of the picture late with my mom. My team totals. Love you, guys. We love you, Nut Flush Allen, and great to see you in the chat. There's Wine Time Sports coming off a 3-0 day yesterday. It felt like there was some great capping here done in the chat. Mikey M ready to get to work. There is the Nuke Worker, Sharon Pulliam, Philly Eagle Flyer. Kadesh Dean says Jazz minus 125 was a great line. Yeah, those lines will continue to scare me. I'm okay with it because, look, I wouldn't have been on the Timberwolves if it didn't move from plus 2.5, which didn't make sense, to plus 2. I just wouldn't have been on them. I wouldn't have trusted them to smash the Nuggets, who were undefeated this year. So it's okay. I'm going to miss some of those lines that, great cappers have the confidence to still back, and you do, Kadesh. There's my guy Bunk Hoots in the house. Latsy coming off back-to-back 3-0 nights. So let's keep it rolling. Canucks team total over 3.5. Habs plus 114. Kings money line minus 1.4. This is going to make it a really fun show because we've already heard from Vipe, Ron Crawford, and Slatsy, and I don't have any of those looks. I'm not on it. Now, I've only made 3 bets on the NHL card, but I'm not on any of those looks. So that's going to make this a fun spot here. Fun spot here. So let's roll. Slow Jams Arsenal says Clippers had beaten Lakers 11 straight till he bet them last night. I know that happens, Slow Jams. I watched that game after the Flames Stars game stopped. My live run right now is insane. It's been such a funny live run with you guys over the last 2 months or so. I started out the NFL season 12-3. Then I lost 10 straight. Then we moved to that same game parlays and had that huge weekend. And now I'm on just a massive run live right now again. The streaks that we have to deal with, the highs and lows are tricky. They're very, very tricky to handle. There's our guy, Fap Win, Australian Racing, my Saturday, your Friday. Well, we'll be live for that. This is perfect. Let me put that on my... Here we go. Let me put that on my worksheet for the breeders. I love it, Fat. And Fat crushes with these gifts that he gives and delivers to us. Lucas Ryan catched it over in the Ducks Coyotes over in Buffalo, Philadelphia. Must have been a roller coaster ride for that one because, 2-2 after the first period, you look like you're in complete control. 2-2 after the second period, I think I might be able to get this. So it was a wild one there. And the empty netter with 3 minutes left, I knew I was in big trouble. All right, Andrew Colge in the house says congrats to the Texas Rangers, their first World Series victory for that franchise. Must be nice. I tell you what, Canuck fans have no compassion for you Ranger fans. So, whatever. I don't care. There's Steve G, Sky Dragon, Crypto-ish. Clint started the Die Hard MMA podcast. Sao Paulo UFC, Armin Petrosyan at minus 120. That's an immediate copy and paster from our man Clint, who's now up over 100 units on the season. What a year you have put together, Clint. It's been wonderful to watch. Fernando Mendoza, ready to go. Nuke said, looking forward to the Breeders' Cup Saturday show. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we have Trans Canada in the house. 1 of 1, Benny. Great group. Stimmy is big on Wake Forest plus 12.5. We're going to talk about that game with Daby Cab. Let me make sure I've got that copied and pasted so I can discuss it here and get to this Wake Forest spot. Thank you for sharing that with me, Stimmy. I'm interested in where you're at here. I mean, with the Riley Leonard's ankle. I mean, it makes a ton of sense to me. Rodney M. Londo, Talk Sports with JT. Joseph Thompson ready to go. He's hammering the over in Devils Wild. Von Polo says Kings +7 was cash. Yeah, that was probably a mistake leaving that one off. NBA best bets and NFL best bets from BJ. He is on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I imagine you expect Pickett to be playing. Wonder if Jose can get us the latest Pickett information, or because Gogster and I are going to be hammering this NHL card before we get into NFL. So if Jose could do that for us. Razor Sharp Picks, a shout out to everyone. Another monster night. Wow, look at him rock in the MLB playoffs. Spectacular work, Razor, and just boarded the plane. Next stop, Breeders' Cup. That's so dope, man. Have such a wonderful time. I'm so excited that all you guys are going to be together, man. It just makes me very, very happy. And Clint says his big bet for Sao Paulo is a parlay. A Bonfim and Mura brothers. Okay, I got to look into that more, but let me just copy and paste that for now so I can understand what the hell is going on there. Great to see all you guys. All right, let's get to work. Justin McAfee says Pickett says he's playing for sure. Interesting. Well, that's important. Jake Burns says, Will Levis will torch the Pittsburgh Squealers, is what Jake Burns is calling them. Quinnimus says, Monster Slate in NHL. Yeah, let's get after it right now. And Andrew G says, the Chiefs are leaving for Germany today. That's late and very concerning. Jeffrey Moore says, who do you all like for NBA championship future? That would need me. I would need to sit down and kind of put something together because you need to have risk reward that's proper. And I don't have that set up. The only future I have is the over 36.5 wins for the Raptors. And thank you to Dennis Garcia for getting me on that. Oh, no, I have the 10-1. Sorry, I got the 10-1 on the Magic. 3 days ago, just for 200. So I, and put 500 on the over 36.5, just 200 on the Magic at 10-1. All right, let's get to work right now. Please welcome star of our Thursday programming. And we're not going to have him for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, he's going to not be rolling with us. So this is our last chance to get a little go. Well, not your last chance, because you're going to get to run with Gogster on the Breeders' Cup shows. You see his horse action. But this is our last NHL spot with Gogster for a couple weeks. And he's having a great season. So let's get him up here. Let's get him rocking. Coming to us from the dirty Belleville, Ontario. Please welcome Mr. Gogster, Raw Dog Gogster, to the show. Gogster, how are you?
Good, Jimmy. Doing great. Big slate. Let's get at it.
Let's get right at it, Mr. Gogster. We start at 7 p.m. Eastern. Oh, let me ask you this. Did you tweet out action already? Are you all tweeted out?
No, I'm going to, after the show here, I'll tweet it out. I like waiting for everyone to tune in and kind of hear what we're going with first. So I'm doing it after the show.
No, I like that. No qualms here. Let's get to work. 7 p.m. Eastern. We start with the Los Angeles Kings 5-2-2, 4-0-0 on the road. At the Ottawa Senators 4-4-0, 3-2-0 at home. We're the Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa, Ontario. We'll talk about the goaltending and the power play and the penalty killing and what's going on with the Kings. But what we need to talk about first is what's going on with the Senators.
Yep.
Coming in off a huge shakeup. So Brad Dorian out after 8 years as general manager of the franchise. The new ownership has come in. They're very angry about losing the first round pick. I mean, it's not all on the first round draft pick, but they're losing a first round pick in either 2024, 2025, or 2026 for their failure in informing the Vegas Knights of Dodonov his no trade clause. And that's why that trade, when they tried to get rid of Dodonov to the Ducks, that's why it went through. I didn't understand why it didn't go through. Sorry, that's why it didn't go through. I didn't understand why it didn't. It's because the Ducks were on his no trade clause that Vegas didn't know existed. So that's a pretty excessive penalty here. Mm-hmm. And, Dorian, there's been good and bad. Look, he drafted Stützle. Quentin Byfield having a nice year for the Kings. Looks like he might be a real player, and he better step up because he went before Stützle. But he also traded Mark Stone, and he traded Stone for squad ass Zilch. I had to go back and look at. Oh, say what, my man?
Eric Brandstrom. That was the main one.
Well, I mean, the 2020 second round pick is Igor Sokolov, and then Oscar Lindbergh as well. And Brandstrom's still, playing with the team. So is Sokolov, I think. Isn't Sokolov still?
Sokolov's in the AHL. Brandstrom, yeah. I don't even know if he's on. I don't think he's on the team anymore, to be honest, Jim.
I saw his.
Is he? I don't think he is.
I saw his stats here. Brandstrom. I was going
Oh,
over
yeah,
his number.
he is on the Sens. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's there.
he was hurt though. I know he had a bad injury. I think is he out for the year? Or... No,
He's out of the lineup right now. But because they have 3 defensemen out, Artem Zub, Shabbat the Bed, and Brandstrom all out. So Stone signs the 8-year, $76 million extension, and the rest is history for the Vegas Golden Knights. The question now that everybody's asking is DJ Smith next to go. So ex-Canuck Steve Staios is the interim general manager. He's another storied member of the Vancouver Canucks franchise. He scored 3 goals in 143 games for us. There's talk that Peter Chiarelli could come in, but this carousel of old general managers has not brought success to any team over the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, these old retreads, it's not working at all. So that's going on with the Senators. How will that affect them? Are we surprised that it was Dorian that got the boot, not DJ Smith? I mean, what's Staios going to do there in control? So a lot of question marks around the Senators. So that was important information for everybody to know. That's what's going on with the franchise right now. Let's get into the line history. Right off the hop. So money line here, you have the Kings sitting at minus 109. Why would they be at minus 109? It got down to even money at one point. Why would they be there? Well, because they just beat the Leafs 4-1 in the center of the hockey universe, and everybody's talking about the Kings. We have them plus 850 to win the Western Conference, and this is generally a tougher spot. You go from, the downtown Toronto in this sold-out game to Kanata, Ontario for the Canadian Tire Center. So it's just kind of a sleepy situation for the Kings, and I don't know how the Senators are going to react to Dorian being fired. It's not like a coach being fired, really. This total is at 7. It opened up at 6.5. I find that very high. We also have Cam Talbot revenge spot here. Talbot's looked quite good to start the year. 2.47 goals against average, 914 save percentage. Korpisalo in net for Ottawa. He's not looked very good this year. And these are goaltenders that I locked in from last night. So throughout this card, Gogster, tell me if I've made a mistake. 2-3-0, 3.22 goals against average, 903 save percentage. The Kings special teams aren't very good. It's just that they are so strong up the middle. Steve G says the Kings ain't winning the Western Conference. I'd love the Kings to be dogs against the Avs. I would love that. The Kings are so strong up the middle. And if Colorado fans think that they can win a Stanley Cup without Gabriel Landeskog, I'll just casually point and laugh. If you want to exchange Landeskog for Ryan Johansson, well, you're not going to win the big games, regardless of how good your defense is. But it's fun, Steve G, to be on the other side of things. It's not a, it's all good. So Viper going to add LA money line. I do not want to have the Kings here. I never want to back a team after they beat the Leafs and go to Ottawa. I don't ever want to back the Flyers unless there's a plus number beside it. I'm going to keep these things, steadfast and strong. They come off that 4-1 win. Victor Arvidsson remains out of the lineup for them. And we talked about the injuries to the Sens, who are a rested group. We haven't seen them since a 5-2 win at Pittsburgh last Saturday. Take it away for us here, Gogster. I've got no action on this game. Kings, Senators, floor is yours.
All right, this is going to be the goal fest of the night, guys. A lot of goals coming from both of these teams. 13 goal scorers, Jim, from the LA Kings, which is multi-goal scorers. So all 4 of these lines for the LA Kings are going to fire. And the other side, you have 9 goal scorers, multi-goal scorers, that is, for Ottawa. So look for goals to be coming off left, right, and center. Even though Talbot has looked really good, 4 for 4 on the road, beating Winnipeg, Minnesota, Arizona, Toronto. I just expect Ottawa – they need a win. The last thing they need to do here, Jimmy, on top of that, they got the Pinto and the gambling too. So this is it's a dark time for Ottawa. They need a win desperately here. And I think the Dorian firing is going to help them. I'm not going to back Ottawa to win. Just the line, I think it's too close. I think this is going to be a goal fest. So I'm going to, what do I have written down? I have both teams to score, I believe, in the first period. Yeah, I'm going plus 140, guys. Both teams to score in the first. I would even, maybe if you want to get crazy with it, or just another bet on top of this would be both teams to score 3 goals at more plus money, like plus 150. But I'll just take the first period. I think both teams are going to come out strong. Who's going to win? I'm not too sure, Jimmy, but both the power plays to home road splits are above 20%, which I like. I just think Ottawa, they are going to be desperate, but this Kings team, 13 multi-goal scores already this early into the year. That's crazy. So, and then Ottawa's got 9-2, which is no slouch. I think that's going to be enough to pull a lot of goals out of this game.
So what was that exactly here? Sorry.
Plus 140
for BTTS.
Yeah, first period, both teams to score, guys. That's going to be the lock of the day, or not lock of the day, but that's going to be the play.
You have that locked in. Rocco Rogers on King Sens first period over a half goal and over 6.5. I
like it.
That one dude in the house, great to see. Ricky Levine says Kings averaging 5 goals a game on the road. This is there's a lot of red flags for me in this hockey game. Not knowing what the Senators are going to do with this transition. Not that, it's not like a head coach is being moved, but, knowing that Steve Staios is in control now, that could light a fire. And again, I'm never going to, not all year, I'm never going to back a team that beats the Leafs in Toronto and heads to Ottawa. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 7 p.m. Eastern. Florida Panthers 4-3-1, 1-2-1 on the road. Detroit Red Wings 6-3-1, 3-1-1 at home. Little Caesars Arena, Detroit, Michigan. I'm excited to talk about this game because I would love to back Detroit here, except the line movement has kept me off of it. Here's another very high 6.5, heavily juiced to the over. I opened up at -116, now -128, 12-cent move to the over. From a money line standpoint here, we have the Panthers right now at -116. So it's come down. So I was looking at this morning. I saw the big market move towards the Panthers, and that did give me some concern in this one. But I'd love to fade them. Slatsy saying Reimer confirmed for the Wings and Stimmy OG big on the Panthers. I've got all these rules in NHL, and one is that there's no chance I'll ever back a team missing 2 of their top 4 defensemen, let alone their top 2 defensemen, which the Panthers are. They're also missing Sam Bennett, a second line center, which means I want to fade them so badly. But and look at the special teams without Montour and Ekblad, 14.3% power play, 67.9% penalty killing. Compare that to Detroit, 32.4% power play, 81.1% penalty killing. Reimers looked great in 3 games, and Bobrovsky's looked average to start the year for him. And Evan Rodriguez showed up on the injury report. He's questionable to go tonight. He's been spectacular, excellent through 8 games. 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points, +7. He's been so good. And Ekman Larson will play after taking that hit to the head from McAvoy. So McAvoy suspended 4 games for it. I watched it a few different times. I think that's inspiring to the group that Ekman Larson will play. I felt like I whispered in McAvoy's ears to hit Ekman at that moment, and he just destroyed him. And I have to give respect. I have to give respect to Ekman Larson for not being out with a concussion, because he could easily be. And Rodriguez says he's hopeful to play. Steve G, back by end of November. So they had their 2-game winning streak snapped in a 3-2 overtime loss at Boston on Monday night. Red Wings snapped their 3-game losing streak with a 4-3 overtime win at the Islanders. Dylan Larkin's been fantastic. Moritz Seider's been so good. Steve G saying that defense is horrid. It's not good, but Moritz Seider is proving to be, very good. I wish I could be on the Red Wings here. Why don't you take it away, Gogster, and maybe I'll take a look at where the cash is and see if there's any reason I could jump on it. Take it away.
You're kind of making me think twice now. I did look at the Detroit Red Wings here. Now, I haven't made this bet yet. I have all these bets, guys, I'm going to place after the show. I kind of like talking it out with you guys. Florida's coming off that 3-2 loss at Boston. That kind of scares me a bit. Just because whenever you're playing a team like Boston, that's one of the top defensive teams. Now you're going to Detroit, who is a lot weaker defensively. Finally got the win after 3 losses. They got to Brinkat back, though. The only guy that they got out right now is Fabry. And then, like you said, a lot of injuries for Florida. Bennett's also out too, which is not ideal, and he's not going to be coming back, I think, anytime soon, guys.
That's what just came in. Yeah, he's been out all year, and they were expecting him back a few games ago. It looks like it'll be extended.
Yeah, so it's tough here. That I have last four 3 goals against for Detroit. 4 of the last 5 have gone under for Florida, so they are kind of figuring something out defensively. Just San Jose, Seattle aren't the strongest. I'm not going to think twice about it here. The reason being, too, guys, is Bobrovsky. He's not that good so far on the road, and I think Bobrovsky's best years, especially that playoff run, Jim. I think that's all he has really left in the tank, especially going forward. He's 1-2-1, 0.887 save percentage, 3.27 goals against. Not good enough, I think, here for a Detroit team that's. I think they're going to turn it. They kind of went through a little bit of a spell there, guys, with Seattle, Winnipeg, Boston. I think they're going to turn it around again. key players back into Brinkat. I'm going to take him, Jim. Not going to talk myself off it. Detroit guys, money line plus 102. I'm seeing best line here.
Yeah. Over 50% of the tickets are on Detroit. So why was there that big market move against Detroit? And the only reason why I've got this bias in my head is because we saw when Winnipeg went to Detroit, there was that 25-30 cent move towards Winnipeg, and they crushed them. And so I would love to be on the Red Wings with you here, Gogster. I really would. It's just, goddamn, Sammy Reinhart looks so good out there with Barkov. I love Sammy Reinhart. I don't know how they're doing it. And in fact, as soon as Montour and Ekblad are back, and not right away, they have to play a little bit, make sure that they're good to go. I don't see how we don't move on futures with them, because they're going to be so much stronger with the weak links of their defense getting all of this ice time. So we'll see. Swig says Detroit feels like a good team, but is it real? I don't think they're a good team. They're better than they were last year, and they're moving in the right direction under Yzerman. I don't know if I'd say good. So JP said I was all over Boston, that revenge spot versus Panthers, and I have to admit Florida made me sweat. Real Deal Prime saying Wings goaltending is suspect. It is suspect long term, but it's been fine with Reimer right now. I'll keep an eye on this.
I'm going to take it. If they lose, they lose. Florida has won for the last 5 meetings, back to 2022. So Detroit's due for a win. Lost the last 5 times. And this Florida team, if they were healthy, Jim, I would probably not take this. I think it's just they're not that healthy here on the road against a Detroit team they do need the wins after those 3 losses. And I don't like Bobrovsky on the road.
Don Play, what's happening? What a message from Oliver Ekman-Larsson on his new team, after being just ditched by another team, to take that hit in the head and be ready to go next game. It's I hate that he's showing so much manliness and toughness when all I remember him is, being a little bitch. Let's move on. 7 p.m. Eastern, Carolina Hurricanes 6-4-0, 3-4-0 on the road to the New York Rangers, 7-2-0, 1-1-0 at home at Madison Square Garden in New York, New York. This was a spot I was extremely interested in. And I mean, what better spot to fade a team after sweeping a road trip? Now, the Ducks swept a road trip, came back and beat the Yotes in overtime last night. And I didn't want the Yotes after winning 8-1. Remember, it was that tricky situation. You don't want the Yotes after an 8-1 win. You don't want the Ducks after sweeping a road trip. And the Ducks came back to take care of business. And the Rangers are coming off sweeping all 5 games of a Western road trip. They're a healthy group. They're playing good hockey, but that's not easy. It's not easy to come home. And the market shows that. The Carolina opened up at plus 101. That's where they are right now, is, even money. There's not been a move towards the Rangers. I'd be interested to see when they're tight, pick 'em games. I'm interested in the ticket count. Here, the ticket count's got 20% of the tickets and 34% of the cash on the Rangers. So, there's a lot of sharp cappers that think the Hurricanes are very live here. And, I don't think they're wrong. But when you have this big of a slate, you really can take the opportunity to pick your very best spots rather than just kind of, littering the board with action. This total is at 5.5. It's fun to see these 5.5s, opened up at 5.5 minus 109 to the under. Now it's plus 102 to the under, being a 9-cent move to the over. Swig looking at first period under. First 10 says both teams always play structured. A lot of truth there. Billy Friedrich has got Zibanejad to score a goal. He got off to a tough start this year, but we know the kind of player he is, especially on the power play. And the Carolina penalty killing hasn't been very good. We know Pesci's out of the lineup, 75% penalty killing. We're used to this team always having 90% penalty killing. Both power plays have been strong. Carolina 25, Rangers 34.4. So the two teams are both rolling. Hurricanes have won 3 straight, coming off that 3-2 win at the Flyers on Monday night. And the Rangers were last seen in a 3-2 overtime win in Winnipeg on Monday night. So, they come home and now they face the Hurricanes, that, 2 very, very good hockey teams going at it. Take it away, Gogster. Maybe if this was later in the season, or, if I was showing that I was having a very strong season, maybe I have the conviction to move on both the Detroit Red Wings and the Carolina Hurricanes, but I don't have that conviction here, and I think you need it. So Take it away.
Yeah, I agree. I originally had Carolina written down here, trying to figure out if it was going to be first period or money line. But more you think about this, Jimmy, coming off that long road trip, the Rangers coming home, the Shesterkin looks so strong. Unless he's not going here, that'd be the only thing that kind of scare me. Or he's played a lot on the road, but this is an important game. I think this is an under. I don't know if it's going to be full game, but who was it in the chat here? I think it was Swig. Yeah, Swig bets there. I agree 100%. Coming off that road trip and the structure of both these teams, if you look at Carolina too, guys, ever since those overs, they've had what do I have here? Last 4 games have gone under, and then last 6 to last 7 for the Rangers, there's been 6 or less goals, 8 multi-goal scores for Carolina, 6 for the Rangers. I have a lean to Carolina here. I wouldn't be betting the Rangers. Just this could be the spot Carolina gets them, but early in this game, I'm going no goal in the first 9 minutes. So as long as there's a goal within 60 minutes, just not in the first 9, that's going to be at Jimmy minus 110. No goal in the first 9 minutes here. I really do think the structure is kind of like our guy Swig's saying. Igor's confirmed. I love this even more. And on the other side, Anderson, he's 2 for 2 away. He allowed 5 goals to the Kings, but then only 2 against Philadelphia, Jim. Sidewise, tough, but I do think this is going to be a tight game. I like the way Carolina and both the Rangers are playing defensively. So no goal first 9. I also have a lean to the first period under as well.
I would be on the first period under and probably the full game under too if the Rangers weren't coming back from a 5-game trip, coming home with all the bullshit that they have to take care of, and then being off. Well, you fly out late Monday night or Tuesday. You come home to all the distractions. You're just not in the rhythm. Because they're not in the rhythm, I can't trust the structure. So I can't do it and won't do it. But I will cheer you on. Gogster, no goal first 9 minutes at minus 110. Let's move on to 7 p.m. Eastern. And I've moved on this one. New York Islanders, Washington Capitals, Capital One Arena, Washington, D.C. You're not going to get many opportunities to fade the Washington Capitals after winning 3 straight. Very few. Maybe this will be the only opportunity all season long. And I'm going to take advantage of it. And I don't care that I'm on a road favorite either. The Washington Capitals. Now, look, Tom Wilson is an excellent hockey player. And I hate to think about what team he ends up on at the trade deadline. Because you're going to have to pay a pretty penny. If he was in a Vancouver Canucks uniform, I'd lose my mind. Like that would just be everything that we could dream of, going to the playoffs. Could he be in a Rangers uniform? I hope not. I hope he stays in the Eastern Conference. But, he's a phenomenal hockey player. And they got Carlson and Ovechkin's trying. Backstrom's hip injury. I think we may have seen the last time Backstrom plays a game in the NHL with the hip injury, sadly. Mm-hmm. But, this team is just bad. And I took the Islanders on the -1 line. And let's see what's going on with this line history. And I didn't get it too early. I did sit with this card for a long time to kind of figure out exactly what I want to do. This total is at 5.5. It's opened up -110 to the over. It's now -112 to the over. I still don't know if I want unders with the Capitals, even though I know they don't score. I still have some fear about their power play with Carlson and Ovi and Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov's not having a good season. We have a huge move towards the Capitals. That's when did this happen? So this happened. So I got in late. So there's been a 9-cent move towards the Capitals since I got in. Mm-hmm. Not everything's going to be perfect when you make these moves. Oh, it's because Varlamov was confirmed. Okay, thank you, Slatsy. So that move makes sense. Okay, so it's not a cash spot, but it's more of a. It's not because sharp action came in on Washington. It's because of Varlamov confirmed. Thank you. That makes me feel a little better. Slatsy and Sorokin has not been very good of late. Islanders come in off that 4-3 overtime loss at home to Detroit on Monday night. 16% power play. Get used to that. That's where it'll be all year. 79.3% penalty killing. I expect that to be better. Washington power play at 12%. It's shockingly low. Penalty killing at 75%. The Islanders were up 2-0 in the third period and should have taken care of business. I imagine that Lamoriello was extremely upset after the hockey game, and I guess the decision was made not to give Sorokin the day off. Matt Barzal has got to do more for this club, but he doesn't get a lot of help. He does get help from Noah Dobson. He's been excellent to start the year. I'm a big Noah Dobson fan. Capitals coming off their 3rd straight win, a 3-1 home victory over the Sharks on Sunday. Defenseman Joel Edmondson out of the line up alongside Nick Dowd. And this is just a wonderful opportunity. I think even with this goalie change, that now you're getting a better line. So, I'm on the Islanders -1 and my first spot on the board. Take it away, Gogster.
Yeah, I had a Varlamov written down here, guys. He started 2 of the games for the Islanders that they've had on the road, and he's looked pretty good. 73 of 76. So that doesn't really scare me off too much there on the Islanders. I would be leaning the Islanders here with you, Jim. 100% penalty kill I have here too on the road in those 2 games. So they have looked good. And both of these teams they don't have a lot of scorers. Only 4 multi-goal scorers on this team. Where what was it? The Kings had 13 guys. The Washington Capitals only have 4. So just take that for what it's worth. Islanders have 6, so I don't think this is going to be a higher scoring game. Only thing that would worry me a bit, Jimmy, is Kemper. He's looked great at home. He's 3-1, but 38 of 40 against Calgary, 39 of 41, and then 30 of 31. Those are good numbers, but that's too many pucks against. Capitals got to be better defensively here in this game, and then their penalty kill is only 68%. So more I'm talking about this, I do lean the Islanders coming off that loss to Detroit too. Both games have gone under 2-0 against Columbus, 3-1 loss against Buffalo. So I do lean to the under. I'm going to go first period under here, guys. -105, Jimmy. First period under 1.5. I just think this is going to be a tight game early. Both of these teams, I think, are very similar, lower scoring. Kemper, like I said, has looked really good. And then Varlamov, he's their guy on the road. So, give me the under first period, 1.5.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense to me. Your first period under 1.5. What was the number for that one?
-105, Jimmy.
-105. Sweaty Butcher on du jour on Saturday. That was a $800 exacta, $5 exacta box. Paid $800. It was a funny one. I was I was down $1,000. And I cashed that with about half an hour left, maybe an hour left of our day. Hour 10 of the horses, and I got the du jour exacta box. So he's very near and dear to my heart. Du jour.
I'm watching the Breeders right now, the morning show on FanDuel, so I'm right into it.
It's huge weekend ahead of us. I'll copy and paste that, Sweaty Butcher. Actually, I'll put that here on the. He loves the track. Horse for the course, Sweaty Butcher. Thank you for sharing that with us. Rocco Rogers says, do they rally around Backstrom or become as much of a fade as the Sharks? I don't know if they become. Oh, it's +103 at Pinnacle, that first period under. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thanks, brother.
I don't think they'll become as much of a fade as the Sharks, but I do.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they'll be a nice fade. All right.
Sorry, they're just those numbers. Like, there's too many shots against, and then they don't have a lot of scoring either. So that's just a bad recipe, I think, for Washington. And then brand new coach. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't want to muddy up the game here, but I do like. I do like that action. That your first period under does appeal to me. So I'll put some asterisks by it. All right, let's move on. 7 p.m. Eastern, Tampa Bay Lightning 4-2-3, 0-2-1 on the road at Columbus Blue Jackets 3-4-2, 2-3-1 at home, Nationwide Arena in Columbus, Ohio. Jonas Johansson 4-1-3, 2.73 goals against average, 922 save percentage, 2 shutouts. I don't want to get. Oh, there's 2 things. So I obviously I like the Lightning and want to fade the Blue Jackets, who've lost 4 straight, coming off that 5-3 loss at Dallas, and line 8 out still for the Blue Jackets. But there was 2 things that reasons that I couldn't pull the trigger on Tampa Bay Lightning. We already heard Vipe on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Let's go over the line history here first. This opened up with the Lightning -164. They're now in the -150. So there has been, a legitimate move towards the Columbus Blue Jackets. And then also from a total perspective here, we're sitting at a 6.5 juice to the over. So it's another one of those, juice to the over 6.5. It's been 11-cent move towards the over. The red flags for me are, what the Lightning have looked excellent at home. That's where they've looked excellent. They have yet to win on the road. And do I want Johansson on the road? And also, I don't want to back a team coming off beating a horrible hockey team. And that's what happened. They beat Carolina and San Jose 9-0. And then it got snapped 4-3 overtime loss home to Seattle. So I guess I was just too caught up in the San Jose game because it got snapped against Seattle. Maybe that was a good snap, a little wake-up call, and that loss to Seattle. I just, with this incarnation of the Lightning, I just don't know. I just don't want them as big favorites on the road at this point. Until they show that they can win on the road, I just didn't want it. So I'm off of this spot. Take it away for us, Gogster Lightning Jackets.
Yeah, I'm not on Tampa Bay either. I was going to bring up that point about Johansson. He's a backup goalie, and I think it's tough for a backup goalie to just go on the road. That's the good goalies who play well on the road. Those are the ones you want to back, and I don't know if he's that guy. He's had one road start against Detroit. He was 36 of 41. That was beginning of the year. 2 shutouts this week, so he has been good. It's just, is that going to travel on the road? I'm not going to bet this. I was thinking of taking Columbus first period here.
Yeah, Matt Tompkins confirmed in net for Tampa Bay.
Matt Tompkins. So, yeah, they really don't want Johansson on the road. And Tompkins, I believe he did play a couple games. I don't have the numbers. But Matt Tompkins, he's like my age. He's like 30-year-old goalie, AHL journeyman. I know that. I would lean Columbus here in the first period. Lions plus 140. I think the number is about right, Jimmy. This was the game I didn't have a lot on. Healthy team in Columbus. Mott's out. Only 6 multi-goal scorers for Columbus so far. So their offense isn't exactly firing on all lines. And then they have 17 players too that are plus minus in the negative. So I'm off this game. Probably going to be an ugly hockey game. I'm nothing here, Jim.
Nothing for me, but I moved on the next game. Toronto Maple Leafs 5-3-1, 3-1-1 on the road at Boston Bruins, 8-0-1, 4-0-1 at home. TD Garden, Boston, Massachusetts. Look, I'm fading a team on the -1 line who hasn't lost on the -1 line all season, and that's the Boston Bruins here. And, is it Samsonov in net? Do they go back to Wall? Do we know yet who's going to be in net for the Leafs?
Samsonov. I'll see if I can confirm.
I had Samsonov as well. And look, I don't care. Look, Wall is the goalie moving forward, but Samsonov is not going to be trash all season long. I don't expect him to. Steve G on the Bruins. You guys know the rules I have around teams missing defensemen. And Charlie McAvoy suspended for 4 games. So that means the Bruins are missing 3 defensemen in Grzelcyk, 4 Bohr, in McAvoy. And the Leafs are coming off a 4-1 loss, their second straight loss. I mean, it's just, to me, it's a perfect situation to back the Toronto Maple Leafs. Mm-hmm. And they play up to the level of competition. This reminds me of the Dallas game. That road trip was interesting, right? Because after the Dallas game, they lose to Nashville 3-2 in overtime, the Ryan O'Reilly game. So this is a spot where the Bruins haven't, and yes, they're 8-0-1, and I'm trying to catch a falling knife here, but I'm doing it with a hungry Leafs team that wants to send a message to the Bruins, who won't have Lucic out there to beat them up, or won't have their superstar defenseman, Charlie McAvoy. Of course, the Canucks picked a defenseman before Charlie McAvoy, Olli Juolevi, who doesn't play in the NHL. That's who we picked over Charlie McAvoy. Oh, Jim Benning, you ass clown. But look, this is just a wonderful opportunity, I believe, here. And so I'm moving on. Toronto power play at 31.3%. Yes, it's negated by Boston's spectacular penalty kill at 97.3%. I should have taken the over for Boston's wins this year. Everybody was, talking bad about them. But I like their lineup. I like their roster. And I think that this is the spot with the Leafs off back-to-back losses where they take care of business. I really do. I really think they go in as intense as possible. You want them after 2 losses. You want them against the big bad Bruins who have ruined them over the years. This total is at 6. It's -113 to the under. I was very interested in the under. It did move to 5.5. It did move after it came out. It moved to 5.5, then back up to 6. I'm very interested in the under, but maybe then I just take the Bruins team total under, but I can't do that. I can't do that against with Samsonov probably in net. There's been a huge move towards the Leafs. Huge. They opened up at +108. They moved to -109. They were at -114. So at that point, there'd been a 22-cent move towards the Toronto Maple Leafs. And, I really, really like the spot. So I'm on the Leafs -1. I forgot exactly what I got here. It was a nice price. I got +155, and I took the extra money at Pinnacle. It could have got +150 at Bet365. Take it away here for us, Gogster, Leafs Bruins.
Yeah, I'm all over Toronto here. This is a great bounce back spot. They were just embarrassed too in the first period against the Kings there, Jimmy, last time out. had some time to steam about this. Their defense, though, this is, I think, the problem. I think with the injuries to the defense of Boston right now, it's just not going to cut it against. I'm trying to find my lines here. I guess I've lost it. It's just not going to cut it out here. There's Lindholm, Shattenkirk, Lahori. I'm butchering that name. Carlo, Witherspoon, and Mitchell. Like this is not going to. And then they got Portis now centering the first line. I was going to do first period Toronto, but you know what? I'm going to do a double up. If anything, I'm thinking of maybe just taking the money line, but screw it, guys. I'm going to do a double up, Jim. Money line minus 109, first period. Money line plus 110 on Toronto. Don't see them coming up with a flat spot. And if it's either goalie, Samsonov, I guess he's been going through a little bit of, tough times trying to get some mental coaches in his game, shit like that. So I expect Toronto to get this done. This is the perfect time to beat Boston. If they don't beat Boston here, they have more problems than we are, above the surface. Give me Toronto here, double up spot, money line, and first period.
I like what you've done there. In retrospect, maybe that's better than just taking the -1 line, which I'm on. But I like what you've done there. We're on the same page here. And I can't wait to watch this hockey game. And yeah, it's a dangerous thing, making a bet against a team on -1 line that hasn't lost all year on the -1 line. But
I added this one too, like probably 20 minutes before the show, just all the information and the defense. I think for Boston, Jim, it pissed off Toronto team. Swayman's in net. See how we can do. And one more thing, just going back to the Columbus game, Jimmy, I might end up tweeting out, guys, Columbus first period. I'm just seeing Marchenko they're saying he's jogging back into the lineup. I think they can maybe get him in the first period here. Olivier is going to be a healthy scratch. I might tweet that one out, but I think Columbus could get him in the first, just going back to that Tampa game.
Well, there we go. We're rocking and rolling. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 8 p.m. Eastern. New Jersey Devils 5-2-1, 2-0 on the road at Minnesota Wild, 3-4-2, 2-1-1 at home. XL Energy Center in St. Paul, Minnesota. This group has been so good on the road. And I took a long look at the Devils, a very, very long look at the New Jersey Devils. 42.4% power play, 75% penalty killing. Minnesota 13.9% power play, 67.9% penalty killing. Let's get into the line. Your first period under in Washington Islanders is in my head. Might be adding that spot. I kind of like it.
Full game could even be in play too.
Oh yeah, but I do think an issue with the Capitals is now we'll have to see if Ovi's Ovi, but I've lost unders that were unders all game long because the Capitals have pulled their goalie with 2.5 minutes left, down 3-1, scored a goal, then allowed one. They're a dangerous team with Carlson and Ovi and Kuznetsov, Wilson in front of the net with the power play even though their power play has been atrocious. But back to this Devils wild spot. I got Vitek Vanacek, Marc-Andre Fleury. I don't know if that is what's going to happen.
I got Gustafson, so we'll see.
What's Gustafson? Because Fleury's not been good this year. What's Gustafson done this year? Because he did not get off to a good start.
No, he hasn't had a good start, but he's really good at home, Jim. He's 2-0-1, 1 overtime loss, 2 wins, .927 save percentage, and 2.95 goals against at home. Much better home goalie.
I am relieved that I'm not on the Devils now, and I'm not going to try to pitch it to you guys after this 19-cent move against them at Pinnacle. I'm relieved. Something wasn't right here on this, and Swig saying RotoWire has Gustafson confirmed.
Yeah.
Something just wasn't right. This is game 2 of a home and home with the Wild. The Devils won the Sunday Clash 4-3. That's third straight loss for the Wild. But Hischier, not in the lineup. It looked like it would just be a short amount of time. He got a high hit from Connor Clifton. Clifton suspended for 2 games for it. But now it looks like he'll be out for at least another week. And Nosek out as well. Colin Miller, defenseman, out.
Timeout. Quick timeout. Samsonov's confirmed for Toronto.
I'm okay with that. That was sort of my expectation with it. So I'm okay with that. And yes, I would rather have Woll in, but that was the expectation. That was what was listed.
Yeah.
Slatsy says Boldy back in, good for offense and good road defensive forward. And D-Man Spurgeon out. Yes, Spurgeon and Goligoski was not as important, but and Frederick Goodrow out. So it has to be goals, but the total is so juiced, says Slatsy. The Wild have been playing the overs and overs and overs. Let's go to that total right now. We're seeing Minnesota. It's 6.5 minus 128 to the over. We have a lot of these today. A lot of these 6.5s heavily juiced to the over. This would slip up to 7 and back down over at Penny. Not a real 7, but a listed 7. In that game against the Devils, the Minnesota Wild got 4 hits. 4 hits throughout the whole game. I'm just thankful that I'm not a Wild fan. I can't watch that kind of hockey because I've watched it. I've watched the Canucks play that kind of hockey before, and it's got to drive Bill Guerin fucking insane. I mean, Dean Evison, but Bill Guerin it must make him lose his mind. I just see them coming out much more intense, hitting, playing well. And without Hischier in the lineup, this Devils team becomes easier to play. If you can keep them off the power play, they have one line that's going to hurt you. I'm off the spot. Take it away for us here, Gogster, Devils Wild.
Yeah, I think with Boldy back, he wasn't in for the last game, and Gustafsson much stronger at home. Vanacek, he is okay, but this team also has a back-to-back tomorrow, Jimmy, Friday. So take that in mind. The Devils are on a back-to-back tomorrow. I think this is a good first period spot for Minnesota guys. I think they're going to come out really strong, kind of like what you're saying, Jim. And defensively, I think they're going to get a little bit better, this Minnesota team. I wouldn't project them to be strong overs until they get back those injuries, Spurgeon and whatnot. So, and Goligoski. I'm going to go first period Minnesota minus 105 here in the Boldy return. They have 9 multi-goal scorers. Scoring's not been their problem. Devils actually only have 7 multi-goal scorers, believe it or not. So
yeah,
they've been heavily relied on their top players. I'm going to go with Minnesota here, Jimmy, early. I don't know if they're going to win the game. Sorry, I'm trying to get this out. New Jersey Devils, 66%. I guess that's why I'm stuttering. 66%, Jimmy, power play. That's in 2 games. So the power play has been really good. Very small sample size. So Minnesota's got to stay to the box. I'm not sure if they're going to win the game, but first period, I feel strong enough that they can get her done minus 105.
Interesting look. Let's roll on. My third bet on this card, 9 p.m. Eastern, Dallas Stars at the Edmonton Oilers. We're at Rogers Place in Edmonton, Alberta. Wedgwood versus Skinner. We expect Skinner. And look, Skinner, the Oilers have been terrible. 2-5-1, 1-2-1 at home. But, I really think that the Heritage Classic will change the direction of this hockey team. Because Kane was such a huge problem. He gets 2 goals and assists. McDavid comes back. We saw what Draisaitl does as the number 1 centerman, and maybe he's not quite as good as we had, the pedestal that we put him on. Maybe it helps having Connor McDavid out there with him. Edmonton power play 24.1%. Watch that skyrocket. Now, it won't skyrocket against the Stars, who are so good defensively, 92.6% penalty killing, just 8.7% power play. And the Stars are a veteran squad. They have so many older guys, and I think there's going to be spots to fade them. We faded them first period after the Vegas, right, when they went to Anaheim, and Dallas won the game, but Anaheim won the first period. And I think on the second half of back-to-backs is where I want to fade them as well. And this is a really nice opportunity. And I know the Oilers have been bad. And Slats is saying they played a full game down the wire last night. Have to be fatigued today. I know the Oilers have been bad, but this is a real nice number to get them at home against any team really in the NHL, especially in a must-win spot where they enjoyed themselves at the Heritage Classic. This total is at 6.5. There's been a 7-cent move towards the over, and from a money line perspective here, these Oilers are sitting at minus 136. They opened up at minus 127. We've had a 9-cent move towards them. I took them on the minus 1 line, and my card right now, and that first period under in New York Islanders Washington's appealing, but I'm on the Islanders minus 1 at plus 136, the Leafs minus 1 at plus 155, and the Oilers minus 1 at plus 118. And this is the 3rd game in 4 nights for Dallas as well. So they start the road trip last night. Now they're playing the 3rd game in 4 nights. This is tough, man. And so look, I'm on the Oilers. I think they take care of business here. Take it away for us, Gogster, Stars, Oilers.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Not to mention, guys, Wedgwood's going to be in net too for Dallas. So he's been really bad. 0.889 save percentage, 3.54 goals against on the year. Campbell too. The problem is me trusting Anaheim is just their goaltending. Yeah, they beat Calgary. They look really good. But let's see him do it against a good Dallas team. They got him in a good spot. Backs up against the wall. 3 games in 4 nights. So I think there's going to be goals here. I know they only have 6 multi-goal scorers for Dallas, 7 for Edmonton, but having McDavid back's huge. First period, I think, is where we're going to see their goals too. I'm not sure. This is tough. I'm humming and hawing, Jim. I don't know if I want to go both teams to score 3 goals plus 155 or both teams to score in the first period plus 155. The more I'm thinking about it, I think I would just kind of worry maybe if Dallas doesn't get to 3, I guess. That would be my worry, is if kind of they they take their L here. It's just Campbell's looks so bad. Yeah, you know what, guys? I don't know, Jim. I'm really humming and hawing. What do you guys think in the chat about this one? You guys like the over here? Fernando likes the over. What do you think, Jim? Do you think there'll be a lot of goals here?
I think that the Stars on the second half of a back-to-back won't
expend as much.
Yeah, I think they need to, but then their legs are going to get heavy in the third period, so I feel nervous.
So the first period might be the look where they can get a goal in the first here, or you'd feel stronger about the first period goal for them?
I want 60 minutes to beat the Dallas Stars, a veteran old hockey team, on the second half of back-to-back with a very angry Oilers team that's moved in the right direction after the Heritage Classic. I got to keep the shit simple if I'm going to succeed personally. So
I'm going to take both teams to score in the first period plus 155. That's going to be my luck here, guys. Dallas and Edmonton.
Both teams score first period at plus 155. Jason, my man, you were money in the bank. I enjoyed hanging with you so much in San Antonio, and that was very fun, very fun. And that trip over to beat Daby Cab in the ping pong game and all that stuff, you were extremely fun, and can't wait to do it again, man. Publipalooza 3, man. I can't wait, my guy. Respect to you. Let's roll on. Next up, Montreal Canadiens at Arizona Coyotes. We have four. Let's speed this up here. Montreal Canadiens, Arizona Coyotes, Mullet Arena in Tempe, Arizona. Jake Allen going up against Connor Ingram, who's been pretty good this year. Jake Allen's been very good. Montreal power play 20%, penalty killing 75. Arizona power play 23.7, penalty killing at 71.0%. Let's get into the line history here for Habs Yotes. We have the Coyotes sitting here at minus 122. They opened up minus 128. Of course, they're on the second half of a back-to-back. They were in Anaheim last night, 4-3 overtime loss, their third loss in 4 games. All 4 games have gone over the total, all of them. So let's take a look at that total, the line history of this total, because I imagine people will be backing overs in this. I don't know still really exactly what to do with the Habs. This is a 6.5, and there's been really no movement on the 6.5. Are the Habs going to be a high scoring offensive team? They had their modest 2-game winning streak snapped, a 3-2 shootout loss at the Golden Knights on Monday. Their last 3 games have all gone beyond regulation. They're still without Weidman and David Savard, 2 defensemen out of the lineup. I don't know. Steve G saying betting this game goes to overtime. A lot of overtime games here for these Habs. Take it away for us, Gogster. Canadiens, Coyotes.
Yeah, I don't got much on this one. I don't know this team yet enough. Our guy Slats sees our guys in the chat. They know this team probably better than us, Jim. Allen's looked really good though, like 36-37 against Buffalo, but then 37-42. Whenever you have that many shots against, like even if your goalie is making all those saves, like you got to be better. Like Montreal defensively is good. They got to be better. They're getting Arizona on a back-to-back with Ingram in net. He's had 1 start at home. It was against Chicago, 29-30. So against Chicago, kind of it is what it is. I don't know what to do with this game, guys. I really don't. Zucker's out for Arizona. I'm just trying to see a big thing. I think to take in mind, guys, is teams that play Vegas. I feel like after they play Vegas, they're very. The next game after that's going to be strong. Like playing Vegas is not like it's one of the toughest teams to play in the NHL. So I would think Montreal is going to have a good effort here. I do think I would lean towards Montreal here. Arizona on the back-to-back, but I can't trust it. They got a bad penalty kill too on the road, 66%. So nothing on this game. Lean Montreal.
Clint looking at Caulfield anytime goal. Slatsy says Matheson's been awesome. I agree. I think that the Habs are very live here. I just don't want to get in the habit of fading the Yotes at home. So I have a slight lean towards the Habs. I'd like just to leave it at that right now. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 10 p.m. Eastern. Winnipeg Jets 4-3-2, 2-1-1 on the road. The Vegas Golden Knights 9-0-1, 5-0-1 at home. T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada. It's been fun watching what Vegas and Boston have done to start the year. Hellebuck against Aiden Hill. Aiden Hill 5-0-1, 2.11 goals against average, 9.23 save percentage. Hellebuck 4-2-1, 2.96 goals against average, 8.98 save percentage. My friend's hockey pool team is Ain't No Hellebuck Girl. And I liked it. Made me chuckle a little bit. Let's go. Jets Knights here. This total is at 6 minus 115 to the under. Open up -115 to the under, still at -115 to the under. From a money line perspective here, we have the Jets sitting at +127. They opened up at +144. These market moves have been really correct with the Winnipeg Jets. When the market moves on them, they come out and play. And remember, they're going to be good on the road because they're playing in front of 11,000 fans at home. They're going to be excited to play on the road. Slatsy says Jets 0-5 last 5 meetings, 1-4 last 5 in Vegas. I mean, I don't want to get in the habit of fading Vegas at home. Nicholas Hague out, who's been so good. White Cloud's been out for a while. And then with the Jets, Velarde is remaining out of the lineup. Both their last 2 games have gone beyond regulation. They come in off their second straight loss, 3-2 in overtime at home to the Rangers. And, I just Steve G saying Montreal power play is very bad. I mean, 20% power play has been fine this year. I don't think it'll be that bad this year.
I think Montreal might win this game, man.
So do I. But Big Show picks in the house. So with this spot here, Winnipeg power play at 11.8%, penalty killing 71.9%. I would like to be richly rewarded if I fade Vegas at home, but all I can say is I don't want any part of Vegas. I think the market's indicating that the Jets are very live here. And if you want to add the Jets to your card, I get it. But I've kept my shit clean on this card thus far. Take it away, Gogster. Jets Knights. We got to be tight.
Yeah, Jets Knights. I don't believe I had anything on this game. Actually, no, I do in this game. First of 3 road games here for Winnipeg. Arizona, St. Louis next. They've lost 2 in a row. Thompson, I have possibly going here. Jamie 1-for-1 at home, 26-28 against Philadelphia. Strong penalty kill too for Vegas. 11 multi-goal scores too for Vegas. That's just well-oiled machine. Second best next to the LA Kings. 3+ goals in every single game too. So they have been scoring a lot. I'm not going to play this. I was going to take no goal in the first 9 or first period under 1.5, but I'm going to lay off this one. If anything, I'm really thinking of taking this Montreal. I'm going back to Montreal here. Like, you lost 3-2 to Vegas. Like, they got Arizona in a perfect spot. You know what, Jim? I'm gonna add Montreal on the money line here, +114. Scratching the Winnipeg Vegas under. I'm gonna add Montreal money line +114. Sorry, I'm going back to this game, guys, but they beat Winnipeg. They beaten Buffalo. That was on the road too. They lost to New Jersey and Vegas, 2 top teams. Now they got Arizona in a bad spot. So I do like Montreal. I got nothing on Winnipeg, Vegas.
Where are you getting +114?
FanDuel. I'll triple check just to make sure.
It's all good. I'm really interested in that here as well.
Got 114 FanDuel.
Those are 2 spots that I think I'm going to add that first period under in Washington Islanders and add the Habs. I really do. Hopefully we have no concern.
Why the hell is Arizona -124? Why are they favored? Montreal's 5-3-1. Arizona's 4-5 with their backup goalie coming in. Like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, no, I'm really interested in those spots, and I think I'm going to add them both. But let's finish off this card here. We got 2 more games. 10 p.m. Eastern, Nashville Predators 4-5-0, 1-3-0 on the road at the Kraken, 3-5-2, 1-2-0 at home at Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, Washington. UC Saros versus Philip Grubauer. Saros will get better as season goes on, but goddamn, they need Luke Schenn out on the ice. I miss Luke Schenn badly. It's tough when you become an older veteran and you're a tough guy. You start getting hurt. The stuff, injuries that wouldn't have happened when you were 24, they start happening. Seattle opening up -124, now -116. There's been a slight move towards these Nashville Predators. And from a total perspective here, we have Nashville. This has dropped to 5.5, or did it drop? Or yes, it dropped. It just dropped to 5.5 at 10:24 a.m. 10:24 a.m. National power play at 21.1%. Penalty killing just 69%. I expect that to go up. I really, really do. Ecom Bo here, respect. Thank you for the kind words, my guy. I love it. And SJ says, a long-time listener, first-time subscriber. Thank you, SJ. Thank you for being a part of this, my friend. That means a lot to us. Seattle power play at 25%, penalty killing at 76.9%. Some great comments here to inspire us for all the hard work that we love putting in so much. So here, Nashville comes in off their second loss in 3 games, 5-2 at Vancouver on Tuesday night. Cody Glass and Luke Schenn are out for the Preds. 2 very important pieces to this Predator puzzle that I took the over 87.5 points with. Kraken snapped their 2-game losing streak with a 4-3 overtime win at Tampa on Monday night. They're out. Burakovsky out for a long period of time. Brandon Tanev out as well. And Matty Beniers is nowhere to be found. I talk about the great things I've done in the hockey pool this year. I picked Matty Beniers, I think, in the 7th round, and he's one of my 2 drops at this point. He's done absolutely nothing. He's in his head. I make this mistake in pools. After a very young player has a great season. Now, it's better with like Mason McTavish, who doesn't have a great season, but he's got it in you, so you get him really late. I've made this mistake year after year. A very young player has a great season. I expect him to have it again, and he does not. Take it away here for us, Gogster, Predators, Kraken.
Yeah, Staros is coming off the rest. They didn't look too good against Vancouver in that game. They're Jimmy Vancouver. They ended up winning that game. Grubauer, he's 0-2 at home, guys. 23-27 against the Rangers. 24 of 27 against Colorado. 2 really tough teams, actually, if you think about it right there, Colorado and the Rangers. I was leaning towards Nashville to win this game, Jimmy, but more I'm thinking about it, I still can't trust this Nashville team. And Saros, he's a much better goalie at home. I'm gonna pass on this game. Both of these teams only have 6 multi-goal scorers, so not a lot of goal scoring coming from each of these teams. Burakovsky and Tanev out. That doesn't help. That hurts them offensively. Seattle, not good goaltending too from Seattle. And then Saros, he's coming off the rest, but I don't know what I'm gonna get from them. So I got nothing on this game, guys. I'll pass. Too much. We got enough action on the card. The plate's full.
And I like what we've done with this card. I don't feel like we've over smashed here. I like what we've done with this card. We're keeping it tight early in the season. Let's move on to the final spot on the board. 10 p.m. Eastern. Nashville Predators, Seattle Kraken, Climate Pledge Arena, Seattle. Oh, sorry, I just did that. Sorry. Last game on the card, Vancouver Canucks at San Jose Sharks in San Jose, California. Thatcher Demko is doing everything that I told TJ he would do. This guy is an elite goaltender. He's healthy. He's got a coach that demands defensive accountability. We don't have Oliver Ekman out there. I mean, we still have Tyler Myers. So we have a half of the worst defensive pairing in the entire league last year, which is a problem. But at least we have the accountability from Rick Tocchet. Capo Kakkonen on the other side. Vancouver power play 26.7%, penalty killing 77.1%. San Jose power play 12.5%, penalty killing 76.5%. This is just, you remember when
I can't believe it.
To start the year, the Canucks beat the Oilers 8-1, and everyone's like, oh, they're going to get smashed in Edmonton on Saturday night. And then they beat the Oilers again 4-3. Now they were outshot and outplayed, but they beat them. Then they head to Philadelphia and they lose 2-0, right? And this is a very Canuck thing to let the Sharks win their first game of the year.
Yeah.
This total is at 6. It opened up at 6.5, so it's dropped a half goal here. From a money line standpoint, we have the Canucks at minus 224. They open up minus 205. Now, we don't have Gabby Boudreau, our coach, telling hilarious jokes to the press and coming in whistling a tune. We have Rick Tocchet, the most intense coach you could imagine, who, had a gambling ring that they, forced Janet Gretzky to take the fall for. I mean, when Rick Tocchet looks at you and says, why don't we blame your wife for all this?
Hey, Gretz, just get the wife involved. Come on.
Wayne goes, sure, Rick. Because Rick Tocchet is an intense dude. The Canucks coming off their 4th win in 5 games, 5-2 over Nashville on Tuesday night. Their only loss over that period was in overtime against the Rangers. They're a healthy group playing really good hockey. They don't have Teddy Bluger is day-to-day, and he's really important shorthanded, really important down the middle. San Jose's a train wreck. They've yet to win this year. They come in off a 5-game road trip. They saw them get outscored 20-3. They were last seeing a 3-1 loss at Washington on Sunday night. They need Logan Couture back in the worst way. I don't want the Canucks here. This is not slam dunk situation for me. So this is just not on the card here. Swiggy saying the 3 goals in the last 5 games. Take it away, Gogster. Let's put a bow on this NHL card.
You know what? I wasn't going to do it, but do you really think is Vancouver? I don't think coach is going to let Vancouver just come in here. Like he goes, listen, if we lose to San Jose, like he's going to probably literally something bad's going to happen to the Canucks. We're not going to hear about it, but if they lose to San Jose, something bad's going to happen. 20-3 on the road trip. That's insane, guys. Like I remember saying, Jimmy, last week, I think, when are they going to get their first win? And I don't know. And I really don't know. Let's just do a little update here. Pittsburgh coming up November 4th, then Philadelphia, Edmonton, Vegas, Anaheim on the 12th, I would say would be their best chance. But I don't even know if they get the win there, Jimmy. They do come back home. They have, Dallas at home. Do they overlook this one? Do you think they can win by 2, Jim? What do you think happens here? Just really quickly, last real quickly.
If I had bigger balls and was rolling in NHL comfortably, I would be interested in the Sharks first period. And I can't. This isn't with Rick Tocchet. He just demands accountability. So the Canucks probably come in here focused and take care of business. Do you want to fade a team that just got destroyed on a road trip and gets to come home? These are all questions you have to answer yourself. I do not. For Bo Jackson Sharks score first. I do not want to be involved in this.
I don't know. You know what? I might add this one, guys. But I think it's Van. I can't take San Jose. And I know actually what happened to JT Miller got like benched or something. He didn't play a lot in the last third period. So this team still like the coaches got them firing. I don't think they let up in this game, and it is still a bad spot coming off that long road trip. And until, like you said, they get back some bigger players for San Jose, they're also missing a guy named Eklund possibly day to day, a centerman. He was centering the second or third line, so you miss him too. Barbanov, Benning, Couture. I'm probably going to end up taking Vancouver, but as of now, I'll just lay off.
Let's review all action. So I'm going to add the Habs with you. I'm going to add the Habs, and I'm going to add that first period under in Islanders Capitals. So over there, Islanders Capitals. So I'm going to add those 2 spots. So I'll have 5 spots on this card. Let's review all action. Again, I'm on Islanders -1 at +136. Could have got a better number if I had waited for the Varlamov news. I'm on the Leafs -1 at +155. I'm on the Oilers -1 at +118. Those are my 3 spots on the board, and I'm making 2 additions. Gogster has Kings Senators first period, both teams to score at +140. He's on the Red Wings at +102. I'd be interested to see what the market does with this spot.
Me too.
I'd be interested, but I'm going to most likely stay off it. Ghost has got no goal first 9 minutes in the Hurricanes Rangers at -110. He's got first period under 1.5 +103 in the Islanders Caps. I'm going to join him on that. Lightning Columbus, we stayed off. As you know, I'm on Leafs -1. Ghoster's got the Wild first period at -105. As you know, I'm on the Oilers -1. Ghoster's got both teams to score first period at +155. I'm adding the Habs. Ghoster has added his Habs at +114. Jets Knights, we stayed off. Predators Kraken, we stayed off. And Canucks Sharks, we stayed off. That is our NHL breakdown for Thursday, November 2nd. There we go. Andrew G said JT Miller yelled at the ref and got an extra 2 minutes too. That pissed off Doggett.
That's what I was saying.
They're both emotional dudes, but I love, you guys know I love JT Miller. And Saji says, me, Ghoster, and Jimmy all in the Habs suite. Yeah, it'll make it fun. It'll make it fun tonight. All right, let's roll on to NFL. Next up for us, it's been a long season in NFL already. It's just such a battle. And I have hammered this card. I was pretty soft last week, but I've hammered this card hard, and I really like my card. And I stayed off of this game. In all of the discussions about, all of the action, and I haven't put in as much action as our guy, my partner in Bankroll Blitz, Troy Torrance. I haven't put as much as him, but, I'm sitting here. Our ROIs are like at 1.5%, 2%. I'm 54 and 47, 53.5%, plus 1.93 units. ROI plus 1.91%, and average line minus 110. There's a lot of question marks for me in this game. I can rehash this stuff from Bankroll Blitz, and then I'll talk about some of it. But first off, what is a quarterback who shines in his NFL debut after the draft day debacle and embarrassment, shines in his NFL debut, and then has to go on the road against the Steelers defense that's not being as good as we expected? That's probably champing at the bit to get after Levis. What are they going to do with it? I don't know. Sky Dragon says Tennessee and teasers, Tennessee +3 and Tennessee Pitt under 37. I certainly like those looks. And Rocco Rogers, by the way, is on the Canucks first period, -half, plus 135. Billy Friedrich says Titans winning this outright. So Ken Peacock says Hopkins over 50.5 receiving yards. That is the problem right now for this squad. Hopkins is hurt. We don't even know if he will be playing.
He's expected to play. I'm seeing here, Jim.
Yeah, it's a toe injury. He can't lift off, but we saw him just go off. So if he's expected to play, that is very helpful.
That's from Tom Pelissero.
No, I would trust that information. There's no doubt about that. But he's coming off catching 4 passes for 128 yards and 3 touchdowns. And one of the rules I have is, you never take a player prop on a player after a superb, spectacular start. So I'd be very pensive about any action from for DeAndre Hopkins, and really and I guess that under 37 makes sense. And of course, Mikey M will be hosting our live betcast this evening here. So Fitzpatrick, as we know, he's ruled out. Miles Killebrew is going to see a lot more reps. He did that when Minka got injured last out, and Kenny Pickett has no injury designation, so he practiced in full on Wednesday and says he's playing for sure. But the rib injury is tough, and this Titans front group can get after you. So, I just find it a very difficult game from just simply a selfish spot. If I could try not to care about this game and focus on horses while hockey's on, I would probably enjoy that. And I love my NFL card too this week. I've just added more and more confidence as I've seen all the market moves move in my direction. So, but let's go over the line history here for the Thursday nighter. We're sitting here right now with the Titans at a +3 or a really juiced, a big plus line, +2.5. This has, since the opener for the Titans at +2.5, minus at +1 and 2, it's moved 11 cents in the direction at Pinnacle, and it's moved 5 cents at Pinnacle. Let's take it to the other side. It's moved 5 cents in the Steelers' direction, away from the Titans in the last 30 minutes. So, the 2.5 for the Steelers gone from -119 to -125. Let's get into the total here for this one. Here we go. Move over to the total in this. And the Devils, yes, Ronnie Crawford. Sorry, I didn't meant to play your breakdown or your video that Jose made for you. But yes, Devils -113. That's going to be a fascinating game, Devils Wild. From a total perspective here on the Thursday nighter, Pinnacle's dropped it down to 36.5. You already heard from Dennis that he's on that under. That's an appealing move. You know that a colleague that you respect's on it, and Pinnacle moves it. Now, I guess Pinnacle moving it isn't the right way of putting it, because at first they didn't know whether Pickett would be in, and even with Trubisky, Trubisky is a pick 6 problem at all times, so I can understand the concern there. But all the other books are at 37, all of them. Pinnacle sitting here at 36.5. Bo Jackson's Titans enters tonight with a Week 9 record of 1-2 against the AFC North. I think that you have to put a line through everything that the Titans have done. What we saw from Levis is, he threw more touchdowns in 3 quarters than Tannehill had through 6 games. So Levis is just a huge question mark as to what he's going to do. Derrick Henry looked huge because Levis was able to stretch defenses, something that Tannehill's been unable to do. So Derrick Henry obviously becomes a monster right now. If we want to go over the Titans' stats, they're 30th in the league scoring touchdowns and 36.4% of red zone opportunities. Do we believe that with Levis? I think he's right now today a better quarterback with more potential than Tannehill, but we haven't seen him on the road, so we don't know his whole story. The Titans are second in the league on touchdowns on just 34.6% red zone opportunities. They look like a very strong football team. And, Kenny Pickett sending a message to the Steelers by playing, but they're getting nothing from Najee Harris. This defense is just not as good as we expected, but Cam Hayward is back, and that's going to be a big spark to the Steelers as well. He's designated to return. He was a groin injury, and he's going to help this pass rush that has not been nearly as dynamic as we had expected. Take it away, Gogster. At this point, I have nothing on the Thursday nighter. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I don't have a lot on this one either. Quick breakdown. Yeah, they're missing right tackle 2 I have here, and left and linebacker for Tennessee, cornerback, safety. Defensively, I was thinking it was going to go over, to be honest, guys. But everyone in the chat here, sharper football cappers than myself, are saying under. There's been a move to the under. I do think Tennessee do get this one done, though, Jimmy. The big reason is it's the rushing yards against from the defense from Pittsburgh. It's been brutal, really bad. At home, 154 yards against. I don't think that's going to be good enough. 87 yards away for Tennessee. I expect the big horse and Henry to get fed here. Don't make Levy or the guy for Tennessee. Don't make him do too much here on the road. It's going to be really cold too, 0 degrees or 0 Celsius, 36 Fahrenheit. So I'm going to take Tennessee, Jimmy. I'm going to take, and also with Pickett in the rib injury, I don't know if I can expect so much offense in that over. That would be my worries if Pittsburgh doesn't score enough for me to take this alternate because I'm going to do a same game parlay. That's what I do usually on these Thursday night games. So I'm going to take Jimmy plus 6.5 on Tennessee, and I'm going to take the under 45.5 at minus 125.
Okay, let me lock that in for you. But let me also say it is about 6 degrees warmer than you mentioned. And I have triple checked that, and you got me scared. So I went to a couple different sites. It's 42 Fahrenheit at kickoff. It doesn't really get cold until midnight tonight.
Okay, I got the wrong site here. It's my odds trader here is telling me 36 at 8, but I'll definitely.
Yeah, I only use weather sites for what I don't use any of the books personally.
And that makes sense, Jim. Yeah, so I would go by that. But even so, this is going to be I think it's going to be a running style game. Should chew up some clock too. So I'll take Tennessee guys plus 6.5 and the under 45.5 at minus 125 to cash tonight.
Tennessee plus 6.5 and the under 42.5, and that could
45. 45.
Okay, beautiful. 45.5. Great to see you, Mally Mal, my guy. Andrew G says Steelers will be lucky to get to 20. Justin McAfee's going to be at the ball game with the Sun. That's just magic, man. I love hearing that. He's going to have 250 on Levis interception, and his son's putting 150 on the Steelers money line, putting both in at Rivers. That's going to be wonderful. Eric Jones says Titans in a 1-10 against the spread spot, 0-11 straight up spot. So Eric Jones is on Pittsburgh minus 2.5. Proof Bet says this total is sharp. 1777. Memorabilia says a 13-10 type game. Fernando Mendoza thinking about this under 37. And DC Capper says if you want cash, play these. Steelers minus 2.5 starting it, but Billy Friedrich on the other side with the Titans money line. Spreadsheet spot for Ron Crawford is on Tennessee. It's not the spreadsheet play of the day, but the spreadsheet spot. Deshaun G says Titans for the upset. Final score 23-20 right now. Gagnon says 15 turnovers in 7 games, pretty solid for the Steelers. Titans have 6 on the year, and that is the situation here. That is the situation. Oh, what's Big Show's move? Sorry, I saw Big Show right there. Big Show is on TJ Watt sack. TJ Watt sack. And Ken, I don't. It always makes me nervous when I talk somebody off of a bet. If you still want Hopkins, you just need to watch him in the hour before the game. The key thing for this show is just information. That's all. It's not, about really talking anybody off the spot or on a spot. It's just trying to get everybody as much information as possible for them to succeed. There you go. There you go. We're going to head into college football now with Daby Cab. And then we have NBA right after that with It's Derl in house. Gogster, my man, you have the daily racing form. Thank you to our friend Guillermo Zertucci. You're ready to rock. So we have you for tomorrow's action.
Yes, 100%, guys. I'll be here capping horses. Going to do some research tonight at work. And one of my favorite times of the year, Breeders' Cup, guys. Should be a great time. Shout out to Razor, too, to everyone that are going to be there. Hopefully we can maybe see some live footage. That's going to be awesome. And Jim, just thanks for having me on as always, buddy. 2 weeks I'll be off. Little switch up at work there. I'm going to be working some day shifts. So I'll see you guys in a couple weeks, but I'll actually be on, Jimmy, with our guy Mike M on the late show Thursdays, guys. So for the next 2 weeks. Yeah. So I'm going to be on from 6 to 7 because that'll work better for my schedule. So I'll see you guys the following Thursday for 2 weeks, and I'll be on with Peter and Jimmy for the next 2 weeks. So yeah.
Respect, my man. And Connor Mack will be doing NHL for you.
I'll be tuning in from work. I'll tune in from work, and maybe I'll throw something in the chat or give Connor a hard time, something like that.
I love it. There he is, Mr. Gogster. Catch him here all day tomorrow for our big Breeders' Cup action. Let's move into college football. Very, very interesting slate of action this evening. And then we have Best Bets with Cadabra, and myself. Please welcome from Dallas, Texas. He is the star of Medicate Mondays every Monday here at 11 a.m. Eastern, as well as our Saturday NCAA football live bet stream alongside Connor Mack. This week's game, Texas A&M going up against Ole Miss. A big game for Daby Cab. Please welcome Cadabra to the show. Daby, how are you?
Man, I'm good. The sports equinox, Jimmy, it's over. And the reason it's over is because I'm smoking on that Arizona Diamondback pack right fucking now. Let's go Rangers.
Yes. Yeah. I'd say congratulations, but I wouldn't mean it.
Well,
But
how about this?
congratulations on you for getting that cash. How about that?
Yeah.
I like that.
Thank you. Okay, that's what I'm about to say. How about this? How about yesterday? I'm not a big parlay person, right? So I gave out the Rangers, but I also put a parlay out there. We had a Valdi over 4.5 strikeouts, Seager over 1.5 hits, and the Rangers to win at plus 355.
Oof.
And we took that shit home. Big players show up in big games, so that's what we did.
Yeah, I mean, imagine now the Dodgers thinking about letting Seager get away. I mean, even Kyle used to always talk about how he's Corey's brother. That's what he's always been his whole life. And Kyle was a good baseball player, but Corey's just another level. Let's get to work. Daby Cab, we have a lot of work to do. We start this evening, 7 p.m. Eastern, two football teams that you know very well in the great state of Texas. The TCU Horned Frogs, 4-4, 2-3 in the Big 12. At Texas Tech Red Raiders, 3-5, 2-3 in the Big 12. We're in Lubbock, 60 Fahrenheit, clear, 9 miles per hour. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. Give me a second and get up the cash flow as well. And here we go. This is a really interesting card tonight, and I'm looking forward to break it down. I've not moved on any games. I did add 2 spots today. I added the best bets, and I wish I had moved on them yesterday. And remember last week, I had 4 best bets, 2 on Wednesday with Ragu and 2 on Thursday with Daby Cab. And the 2 that I had on Thursday, well, I went 3-1 on them, but I cashed both on our Thursday show. And we've often heard Peter Loshak talk about how the B plays. Now, these are not B plays because they're my best bets, but the ones that I didn't like quite as much as the A plays hit at a higher percentage. And I feel that way about these 2 spots. And the market's been moving briskly in the direction I probably should have moved a little earlier. But let's get to work here. Texas Tech at home as slight favorites, -3 at -102. This opened up -3 at -112. So we've had a 10-cent move against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Let's get into the total here for this one. And we are sitting at 59.5. This opened up at 59. It dropped to 58, got up to 60. So it's 59.5. It's been moved half of a point. From a cash flow standpoint, you have the public on Texas Tech. Now, it's not huge public, 60% of the tickets, but just 32% of the cash. So the bigger bets are coming in on TCU. From a total perspective, 74% of the tickets, the public is on the over, and 68% of the cash. And it's not really moving very briskly for the public being on that spot. Billy Friedrich is on the under 59.5. So, and Wine Time says, I think Tech wins this game. I didn't play it, though, like the other 2 games more. I can't wait to hear all of that here. So both teams coming off their bye weeks. TCU comes in off an ugly 41-3 loss at Kansas State as 4.5-point dogs. Josh Hoover continues to start in place of Chandler Morris. And, at some games, Hoover looks very good. That BYU game, he was excellent. And then sometimes he looks really bad. In Kansas State, he looked bad. He barely completed over 50% of his passes, 187 yards. Texas Tech comes in off their second straight loss, 27-14 at BYU, as 2.5-point favorites. And that came on the heels of their loss to Kansas State. But that happened at home, 38-21, much closer game. And Texas Tech was down to their 3rd stringer. But the bye in play, and you know that my best bets from yesterday's show, the bye was in play and the quarterbacks were healthy and I was good to go. I hear the bye is in play and Baron Morton is expected to be back under center. He missed week 8 with a shoulder sprain. Take it away for us here, Daby Cab, TCU, Texas Tech.
It's been a long fall, from the college football playoffs last season to where TCU is right now. It's one thing people noticed right off the start of the season when they lost to Colorado. This game makes me think of one thing when we've had all eyes on TCU. Their defense just isn't there this season. I think this game is going to go back and forth. The total's high for a reason, but I don't know if it's high enough. If I was going to get somewhere on this, it's going to be the over. I'm leaning pretty heavy on it. I would like to hear the cash here again in just a second. I'll just say one thing. The 2 common opponents you have for these teams is Kansas State and BYU over the past couple weeks. Kansas State beat both of them. But, the BYU game, you can look at that one and see, TCU beat BYU by 33 points while Texas Tech lost by 13. That's a 46-point differential in that game. It's just one game. You don't want to take like what somebody did off another opponent as your cap, but it's also good to look at to see how, certain people will match up. But even if he does play, he shouldn't be he's completing 57% of his passes. When he was healthy, he's not great. TCU's offense is still very good, though. That's one thing that I said from day one when they went back and forth with Colorado. Their defense sucks, but their offense can still move the football very well. It's third in the conference right now. They're getting 464.9 yards per game. It's ranked 7th in scoring defense in the conference there. So, I mean, I think that you got a little bit of a mismatch there. Again, I think points both ways. Instead of having to try and pick a side here, I would just go with the over.
Eric Jones gives us a final score of 32-31 Tech, but TCU covers and he is on the over. You wanted to talk about the cash flow or review the cash flow. 74% of the tickets are on the over and 68% of the cash.
It's not moving.
It's not. No. So a couple questions here because you watch these teams closely. Your thoughts on Baron Morton back under center?
He's average at best. I mean, at best, I'd give him just average. That's my thoughts on him. He's done nothing to impress. Like I said, he doesn't complete a high percentage of his passes. He doesn't throw the deep ball that well. He's okay.
Josh Hoover for TCU.
I think you got the advantage there at quarterback.
Interesting. So everybody has a bias off of watching that 41-3 loss at Kansas State. They were atrocious here. Do you think that Hoover sees ghosts in Lubbock?
I understand the ghost thing. Say that first part one more time. I was trying to pull up some stats that I was going to go over with you because I know that Hoover's completion rating isn't much higher. It's just 59% here. I wanted to see what the average yard is for. Hold on, I'm looking at something. Say that one more time.
Just, do you think that we've watched him panic at Kansas State? Does he panic in Lubbock?
I don't think that Lubbock presents the same kind of threat on that defensive front that Kansas State was bringing. So, no.
Interesting. Nutflush Allen talking about the Texas Tech team total over says to Eric if he likes Texas Tech to win but TCU to cover, then you could just take the team total over. Deshaun G is on the over in this one. Billy Friedrich says 12-4 to the under, 59.5 points this season combined between these two. Tech went over 59.5 one of those times in a double overtime game.
12. Oh, wow. These are just different teams, though, this year. This TCU defense is not good. I want to know what that team total over is that Nutflush is looking at. I want to know what the number is.
Well, I can give it to you here right now. I'm going to have to pull up Pinnacle one more time. All right. Well, I don't feel forced anymore. I used to last year. I was focusing. Now I had a really strong year in college football last year, which gave me a ton of confidence. And then I started off poorly here this year. But I used to feel the need to force action. But now that we're doing the best bets, I have a lot of Saturday action each day, and I don't feel the pressure to move on this. And do I really want to trust Hoover here on the road? I don't know if I do. The team total for Texas Tech is 31.5 juiced to the under. It's plus 103 to the over. TCU team total is also juiced to the under at Pinnacle at 28.5. Justin Mack will be looking at that 30.5. It's 30.5 right now at Bet Rivers. What up, Jacqueline? Nice to see you. So is there a move for you here, Daby Cab, on TCU, Texas Tech?
Possibly. When we go over everything at the end, I'll decide if I want to do something.
All right, let's move on to the next spot on the board. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We have the Wake Forest Demon Deacons 4-4, 1-4 in the ACC at Duke. Blue Devils 5-3, 2-2 in the ACC. We're at Wallace Wade Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. 45 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 12 miles per hour. And we already heard from Stimmy. Stimmy OG is big on Wake Forest plus 12.5.
I might be wrong, but I thought there was a big line movement on this just recently. Let me look.
Well, yeah, we'll go over that right now as well. We have, first off, the total very low. This total opened up at 45.5 and has dropped to 42. You see 41.5 everywhere. 41.5 everywhere. From a spread perspective, we're down to 6. What a move by getting Wake Forest at 12.5. This was all today. Wow. Jesus. So this has to be because we will not be seeing Riley Leonard on the field, right? Has to be. So, and there's so many injuries for the Duke Blue Devils here. So, okay, well, let's go over everything. We'll start with this giant move and look at the cash as well. So obviously the market's telling us that Riley Leonard won't be there. 77% of the tickets, 82% of cash on the under. From a spread look here, you have 60% of tickets and 83% of cash on Wake. And Nut Flush On says obviously it's Riley Leonard. So we'll talk as if Riley Leonard's not in this game. But let's start with Wake. They coming off their 4th loss in 5 games. They fell 41-16 at home to Florida State, 21 half-point dogs. Just 210 yards of offense for them. And we talked about what it would be like this year without Sam Hartman, and it's worse than we could have imagined. And you're not used to seeing a Dave Clawson squad struggle so much. I mean, they're not even in the top 100 in scoring. Mitch Griffiths looks bad. 9 touchdowns, 6 picks, 57.3 completion rate. Last week he was 6 of 16 for 82 yards against Florida State. And we know with Riley Leonard out that Duke's going to run the ball over and over and over again. And that's where Wake is at their best, 13th power success rate against the run. Duke comes in off their 2nd straight loss, 3rd in 4 games, 23-0 at Louisville as 4-point dog. Shout out to the Big Ragu who gave out Louisville as a best bet on our best bet videos. And left tackle Graham Barton. I mean, this guy's going to play in the NFL. This guy's going to be a first-round draft pick. He was unavailable. Starting corner Miles Jones, unavailable. Tight end Nikki Dalmelin, unavailable. And now we know that Riley Leonard won't be there, so it'll be Henry Belvin, who's been so bad. And even Leonard trying to play on this ankle has been so bad. This is very, very interesting. The huge market move here. So, congratulations to Stimmy and to those of you in the squad that picked up Wake Forest at such a big number. I wish I was one of them, but I wasn't, and I'm not. What are your thoughts here, Daby Cab? Take it away.
Yeah, I was just looking at the line movement here. I don't, Duke couldn't even score last week. They literally put up 0 points on the board without Leonard in. I want no part of it. This game, I'm sorry. I can go over like some of the thoughts on it and stuff, but I promise I won't have a bet on that one. It's too. I mean, this is just too much of a move here. Like if you're taking Duke right here, it's just. I mean, you got to know something that I don't know. They're coming into this matchup here, just 99th in the country in total offense on the season, right? And you take Leonard out of the equation, this offense gets scary, like bad. And 48th in rushing the football. But whenever you're without, Leonard back there, he's part of that mobility. So the rushing is going to go down even further. 120th through the air this season. On third down, they don't convert. Duke is just 105th in the country on third down conversions. 95th in the red zone. I keep going over these numbers. Again, this offense is already struggling. You take him out of the equation, I don't want any part of it. I don't know what to expect here, Jimmy, honestly.
Well, I expect that Wake will be able to stop the run, and those of you who moved on the under early at 45 are in great shape, and those of you who moved on Wake at 12 or 12.5 or any kind of double digits are in great shape, and I don't think that it's responsible gambling to move on either of those now.
That's a better way put than what I said, I guess. Perfect.
But I do we do see situations like this where it doesn't matter that it's 6; it's still, very live. So, it's tough. It's I guess we have to do squad ass zilch here on this one. So we have cappers coming in, by the way, on the under in TCU Texas Tech. And back to the Mike M spot, he says 0-10 overall, 0-10 against the spread since November 2019, when failing to cover by more than 14 points last game. All right, so let's move on and see if we can find action here on this one. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, South Alabama Jaguars 4-4, 2-2 in the Sun Belt at the Troy Trojans 6-2-3-1 Sun Belt. We're in Troy, Alabama, 57 Fahrenheit clear, 6 miles per hour at Veterans Memorial Stadium. Got our guy Elio in the energy says missed the move, can't chase it. Yeah, I agree. We got our guy Elio in the house. Elio, it is great to see you, man. And I heard that you were going to hook up with Jose yesterday. I hope that all went through, and love that. All right, let's get into this one. South Alabama, Troy. Let's get into the line history here. A move towards South Alabama. Troy opening up at -6.5. They're now -4.5. In the NFL, we have Troy's database explaining that when anything goes through the 6.5, through 6 and the 5.5, that the dog is just extremely live. Now, he doesn't have a college football database, but it would be nice to hear what that would be. This total is sitting at 45, kind of high for Troy football. Opened up at 46.5 and dropped down to 45. Let's take, I love it, Top Set. Did see Jose last night. I absolutely love hearing that. Let's get into the total for this one. Or the cash flow, excuse me. You have 40% of the tickets on South Alabama and 61% of the cash. South Alabama becoming more and more and more appealing as I look at this market. 63% of tickets and 71% of cash on the over, and yet this total just keeps dropping. North Ender, though, says that Troy went from -4 to -5 in the last hour. Huh. Interesting, because that's different than what's happening here at Pinnacle. Wine Time Sports says, guys, I'm on South Alabama +4.5. This is a game I think they can very easily win outright, and the wrong team is the favorite. Wow. He says, South Alabama quarterback Bradley, a 5-year college guy who's super talented and will be able to throw it on the Troy defense. Wow. All right. South Alabama, their 2-game winning streak snapped in a 33-20 loss at home to the Raging Cajuns. And it was one of those games that jumps out at you because everybody's going to see them lose by the final score, 33-20. But they outgained the Cajuns 498 to 348. They outgained them by 150. It was just that they lost the turnover battle 5-0. You know, as our guy Wine Time saying that, you know, this is a top 25 offense, but it's got a bad run defense, and that's been a problem for them this year. The Trojans defense is incredible. I mean, this is just, you know, where they shine. Look what they've done in the last 4 games. They've allowed 23 points over their last 4 games. You know, they won at Georgia State 28-7. I'm on Georgia State this week, and they shut them down in Atlanta. At home against Arizona State, they won 37-3. At Army, they win 19-0, shut them out. At Texas State got a good team this year. They won 31-13. And there was a sharp move towards Texas State. And I had taken a long look at that one as well. And in the first half of that football game, I thought that I had made a mistake, you know, not adding Texas State. It was 10-7 Texas State at home. But what happens is when you have this really strong defense is you wear opponents down. You wear them down. Wine Time says, crazy to think that Bradley was backing up Tua and Jones 5 years ago. Here we go. Take it away here for us. Daby Cab, South Alabama Jaguars, Troy Trojans.
This is just a crazy matchup, man. Because you look, I know last week, you look, South Alabama only put up the 20 points, but, you know, both games before that put up 55, and then they put up 23, 30, you know, and then you look at Troy's defense. It's just, you know, a battle of two opposites here. Troy, they've won 5 straight games and 3 of their last 4 home games here. You touched on how good their defense is. They've been playing well offensively too. They've scored at least 27 points in 3 of their last 4 games. They've got a good passing game. They also run the ball well. South Alabama on the other side, they usually play pretty well against the run, but they have struggled in recent games. They gave up over 200 rushing yards in their last game. So, you know, I think the Trojans might be able to do a little bit of ground pound here, which is what they're going to have to do. Like, they're going to have to, you know, control the clock a little bit. Obviously, we see that's what their game plan is going to be. Even though South Alabama, I hear Weinstein saying he thinks they're the better team. They have lost 3 of their last 5 games. But even with that slump, they're still playing great offensively, putting up more than 30 points per game during that span where they've been losing those games. So it's if you like Troy, you like the under. If you like South Alabama, you like the over. I do think that this is a spot where Troy's defense is very good, but I think South Alabama's offense might be good enough to at least keep it close. And if this game does stay close, I think we get over 45 points here. So I might look to the over with this one also.
I just wish that South Alabama was at home for this. I would gladly take a. If the opener was a 3, I imagine it would have moved to 2.5 by now. But I would have gladly have taken that with South Alabama at home. Is this a team that's capable of going into Troy and beating them? They lost at James Madison, just 31-23. But they also lost Central Michigan 34. Oh no, that was at home. Sorry, that was at home. See what that James Madison loss. They were in trouble. They came back in the 4th. They still put up 326 yards against James Madison. They were only 2.5-point dogs in that one. Just went back to 4.5, says North Ender. And then I have interest in South Alabama. This market move tells me that they're very live here.
So then you got to like the over a little bit too, right?
That's the problem, though. I don't know if it's necessary for it to go over just because you're on South Alabama. I mean, Troy's defense at home, do I really want to mess with that? Do I really want to double up on it? I don't know if I do. And just looking at the cash flow here for the spot, let's get this up here again. Sorry, where did I put it? Jeez, lost it. We had all the sharp action there. So 63% of the tickets now one book just moved back to 45, but 63% of the tickets, 71% of cash is on the over, and this has dropped from 46.5 down to 45. So does that tell you, does that correlate with Troy? It might correlate with Troy. So at this point, I'm going to spend more time with South Alabama, but I don't see why they wouldn't be able to stay in this game. And then you just have to ask yourself, is 4.5 points enough? That is the question. Is 4.5 points enough? Let's just go quickly. I'm going to take one last look at this spread, and then we're going to move on to best bets here. We should probably just move on right now, but I'll just take one last look at this spread and how fast it moved. So we got a lot of 4.5s, 4.5 at Pinnacle. This opened up at 6.5, and within 40 minutes, it moved to 5.5. Then it didn't move to 4.5 for about 20 hours. Then it got down to 4. Then it got down to 3.5. There was a jump. So this was at 3.5 an hour ago. Now
I just think both of these teams get to 20 points at least. Honestly, I do. And if that's the case, I feel like the over's in play.
North Ender says Penny opened it at 5. I've got Penny right here. They opened it at 5:14 p.m. on the 29th at 6.5. At 5:47 p.m. they moved it to 5.5, and it held at 5. Actually, it held at 5.5 for 2 days before it went to 4.5.
You know what game this kind of resembles? If you want to talk about like how teams match up, that Western Kentucky game that Troy played, which they won, but it was 27-24. And that's where I'm at with the total. Is I think it's somewhere right around there at the final score. And that would also, at a 4-point spread, would cover here for South Alabama, by the way. So I don't know. I think this resembles the Western Kentucky game that Troy played earlier in the season.
Okay, I'm close to adding South Alabama. Mike M says that South Alabama team total over 19.5. Don't overthink it. I'm close to adding South Alabama. I think they can stay in this football game. But I don't know if I got to take some more time with Troy at home. But I'm not moving on the other spots. I've heard some sharp action from the chat on TCU, Texas Tech under, and Stimmy, and those of you that got Wake at plus 12.5 or the under at 45 did great work there. And Top said agreeing with Mike M on the South Alabama team total over. Billy Friedrich saying Troy's run defense too good for South Alabama. Okay, let's move on to best bets here on Betting with the Bag with our guy Daby Cab. Last week we went 3-2 on our college football best bets. I went 2-0. You went 1-2. We had a winning show. We need another one right here. Thank you guys for joining us. Daby Cab, you have 4 best bets here, and I have 2. You have 3 spots all popping off at 12 p.m. while you will be live right here on Pub Sports Radio. Yep. So it's going to be a very intense couple hours for you, and I implore all of you to join Connor Mack and Daby Cab for our NCAA live bet stream. Let's get right. So, what do you want to say, my man?
This last Saturday, so like you said, 1-2, and it sucks because OU actually did have that first half covered for me right up until right under a minute when they gave up the field goal under a minute to go back to not covering at 4. But in the live stream, a lot of people got on it with us. We got Oklahoma live when they fell down 14-0, so we got good bets in, and it was a lot of people cashed. These live bet streams have just been straight money, man, straight money.
They've been very good across the board in all sports right now for us. We've been smashing for the last little while. Let's get right to work here for you. Daby Cab, we start at 12 p.m. Eastern. The first 3 spots are all your best bets, then 2 of mine. Then we close with Daby Cab. We bookend the show with Daby Cab. Number 23 ranked Kansas State Wildcats, 6-2, 4-1 in the Big 12. At the number 7 ranked Texas Longhorns, 7-1, 4-1 in the Big 12. We're at Texas Memorial Stadium in Austin, 68 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 5 miles per hour. Let's get into the line history and the cash flow for Daby Cab's first best bet on the card. And here we go. We have Texas sitting at -4. Texas at -4. They opened up -4.5, and it quickly went to 3.5, back to 4, 4.5, and now 4. So not a ton of movement, but there has been a half-point move on Kansas State. Let's get into the total for this one. This total is sitting here right now at 50 at Pinnacle. You see 49s, 49.5s at other books. This opened up at 51.5 and has dropped to 50, a 1.5 drop. Cash flow wise, we have 60% of the tickets and 87% of the cash on the under. 60 and 87, it's only dropped a 1.5 or 2 points, depending on where you shop. And from a spread perspective, 48% of the tickets and 57% of the cash are on Kansas State. And the markets moved a half point in their direction. Of course, they come off of 3 straight double-digit wins. 41-0 at home over Houston as 17.5-point favorites last we saw them. They've outscored Texas Tech, TCU, and Houston 120-24 over this 3-game winning streak. Texas comes in off their second straight win, 35-6 at home over BYU as 20.5-point favorites. But that came on the heels of a very underwhelming 31-24 win at Houston, a win where they looked like they were in complete control and took their foot off the gas pedal. Take it away for us, Daby Cab, your best bet number 1, Wildcats Longhorns.
Yeah, 2 good football teams, man. Texas, they already got their 7th win of the season last week against BYU. Their quarterback in since Ewers is out. They had Malik Murphy in. He went 16 for 25 with 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. He looked good. He was able to, make easy passes because the ground game took over in that game. The Longhorns had no problem moving the ball on the ground. They had 35 carries, 184 yards rushing there. BYU also committed 3 turnovers. So I know that, adds into where the score was there. But, Texas on the season putting up 35.5 points per game. That's 23rd in college football, averaging 454.1 yards per game, 21st in college football, even with their backup in. I think Texas is a better team than Kansas State here. Especially you got Texas sitting here at home. At 4.5 or 5, I understand maybe wanting to get on Kansas State where it has to be by a touchdown here. But at 4, I'm all over Texas. I think they could win by a touchdown. And I think at 4, worst case scenario, I get a push. I'm going with Texas full game in this spot.
Let's lock you in with Texas full game here. We got your. Dude, I thought I saw 3.5 somewhere, and I did not. This is 4s across the board. Minus 108 at Heritage, minus 106 at Pinnacle. So Daby Cab is in. Texas minus 4 at minus 106. Best bet number 2 for Daby Cab. Texas A&M Aggies 5-3, 3-2 in the SEC. At the number 10 ranked Ole Miss Rebels 7-1, 4-1 in the SEC. We're in Oxford, Mississippi. 63 Fahrenheit, sunny 5-mile-per-hour winds. And this is our live bet stream. So Daby Cab coming to the show with pregame action here. Let's discuss the line history for Aggies Rebels. This line is at a 3 right now. Ole Miss minus 3. They opened up minus 3.5, got up to 4, and then dropped from 3.5 to 3. And this move, they've been at 3 now since Monday. So since it moved to 3, this was a line that, Pinnacle and the other books were comfortable with, and it has just sat there. We see 3s right across the board here for this one. Let's get into the total for this spot here. Here we go. Sorry about that. We have this total sitting at 53.5. It opened at 53.5. We've had a 2-cent move to the over. So no movement on the over and no movement since Monday's move to 3. Let's take a look at the cash flow then for this one. You have 73% of the tickets on Ole Miss, a very public spot. Only 40% of the cash, and a 1.5 move or a point move, depending on where you shop, towards the Aggies. We get to the total in this one. You have 51% of the tickets and 65% of the cash on the under. 51% of the tickets, no movement on it. Texas A&M snapped their 2-game losing streak with a 30-17 win at home over South Carolina at 17.5-point favorites. Ole Miss comes in off its 4th straight win, 33-7 at home over Vanderbilt as 24.5-point favorites. Best bet number 2 for Daby Cab. Take it away, Aggies Rebels.
So this game, man, all year with this A&M team, a couple games, right? The Tennessee game, they were favored. The Alabama game, they were favored, and it's just like, it's shocking. And then you get just a 3-point spread here going against Ole Miss, on the road against Ole Miss. And you know what? This time I'm in. I'm buying in this time. This is the win A&M needs, okay? You look at their season this year compared to last year, and this is completely 2 different stories. Last year, they come in ranked number 6 in the nation. Everybody's expecting a ton out of them, and they completely fall flat on their fucking face. This year, I don't want to say nobody expected anything out of them. They still have expectations, right? But, not huge, but they're playing much better games against good teams. They're winning the games that they're supposed to, okay? Sitting at 5-3 right here. Now, here's the game that they need. This is the game that they need. It's nobody circled Ole Miss preseason, but it's here now, and this is what A&M needs to make this season a real season for them. Actually, being able to move forward. And I understand anybody that's going with Jackson Dart and this Rebels team, they stretch the field. They put up a lot of points. They're exciting. But I think that their defense, as well as they've played, their defense has holes. And if A&M's able to put up any points at all, their defense is the real deal. I'm just going to say that right now. A&M's defense is the real deal. I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on Jackson Dart. And I think that little stupid eye patch that he wears on one eye is not going to help him in this game. So I got A&M in the first half. I got him plus 2.5. And I very likely am going to take him on the money line full game. But right now, I just got him first half plus 2.5.
First half plus 2.5. Did you tweet this action out?
I've not tweeted anything out yet. No.
I can line shop for you. Let's do that line shopping right now. Here we go. Get you the best line available. A&M first half. And I know that you gravitate towards first half action, but in this case, why do you want 30 minutes instead of 60?
Well, let me tell you one thing A&M did do in those games against Tennessee and Alabama that they lost. They were winning at halftime. And here's the thing, Bobby Petrino, that's what's different about A&M's offense this year, having him calling the shots instead of Jimbo's boring-ass old offense. I've still been frustrated with certain things Petrino's done, and I guess maybe that has a little bit of Jimbo's influence on it. But this is the first time these teams, and this is the first time, Lane Kiffin team is going to see this A&M team with Petrino at the helm at the offense. So I think their offense has a little bit of advantage early on when they come out.
A&M first half plus 2.5 at -108, and your possible addition would be A&M full game money line.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you want to watch Daby Cab sweat it all out right here, Saturday, 11:45 Eastern, alongside Connor Mack for our college football live stream right after Saturday Means Football with Jeff Nadeau and Peter Loshak. Let's move on to the next spot on the board here. Daby Cab, best bet number 3, 12 p.m. Eastern. Notre Dame Fighting Irish, 7-2 on the year at Clemson Tigers, 4-4. We're at Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina. It's warm, 61 Fahrenheit, sunny, and no wind, 2-mile-an-hour wind. Let's get into the line history for this one. I still have the first half up here, so let me move over to full game. Here we go. Clemson, Notre Dame, almost exactly the same line movement as we talked about in the A&M. Actually, no, this didn't start out 4. I thought that it did. It started out at 4.5. This opened at 4.5 at Bet Online, but not at Pinnacle. At Pinnacle, this opened up at 3. This opened up at 3 on Sunday, 6:25 p.m. It opened up at 3 at a pick'em. This moved to 2.5 on Monday afternoon, back to 3, and that's where it stands now. So very, very little movement here. The only sign of any movement was a half-point move to Clemson at one point from 3 to the 2.5. Take a look at the total then for this one. We have it sitting at 45. Sitting at 45, opened up at 46. We've dropped 1 point down to 45. Let's get into the cash flow here for this. Great to see Rez Mob in the house. Rez, great to see you. For the cash in this one, we have, moving too far. On the total, 77% of the tickets, 81% of the cash on the under. On the spread, we have just 26% of the cash, just 26% of the tickets on Clemson, but 51% of the cash. So we have bigger bets coming in on the Clemson Tigers, who have looked bad, coming off 2 straight losses. Last one was 24-17 at NC State, 8.5-point favorites. It was a very strange game. They outgained the Wolfpack 364-202. Notre Dame comes in off a 58-7 win at home over Pittsburgh, and this was a much more simple game. 535 yards they put up to Pitt's 255. Take it away for us here at Daby Cab, Notre Dame, Clemson.
Man, 2 teams heading in 2 completely opposite directions, right? When you put this game, on paper, you look at the numbers, however you want to say it, right? You got similarities across the board in stats for both of these teams. Some of the examples, Notre Dame, they average 428 yards of total offense, and Clemson 416, so very close. Notre Dame throws for 164 yards and has 120 rushing per game, while Clemson's thrown for 157 257 versus 157. So very close on the numbers. Defense for Notre Dame, they're allowing 279 yards, and Clemson's defense is allowing 267 yards. So again, I just noticed like a lot of similarities, right? So where's the difference in this game? The difference for me is at quarterback, right? Obviously the biggest difference. Sam Hartman, you've got a 6-year senior. Where on the other side, with Cade Klubnik, you've got the kid that's, got a little bit of time last year, and this is his first year, full season at helm. And I think Hartman's just the better quarterback. Notre Dame also, they're 7-2 ATS this year, where Clemson is only 2-6. So Notre Dame's been covering the spread, unfortunately for me, 1-1 when I've bet them this year. But it is what it is. This is a spot where I want to get back on. Like I said, 2 teams heading in 2 opposite directions. This is another one where I am going in the first half this game, simply because I think that I want it under a field goal. In a half of football, I think under a field goal on the road, I'll take it.
Let's get that first half for Notre Dame for you right now. First half, Notre Dame is cheap, -1.5 at -105 for the Irish.
Beautiful.
1.5 -105 available right now at Pinnacle Sports right now. Okay, we roll on and we head over to best bet number 1 for me. I dropped 3 yesterday. Actually 4. I guess it was 4 yesterday because I had So yesterday Ball State. Oh no, 3. Ball State was not part of the best bet, but cashed for us anyways. But Temple plus 6.5, UAB money line, Georgia State plus 5.5 on yesterday's best bets show. Today's best bets show, I have 2 spots here. And let's get to work. This one's fun. Iowa Hawkeyes 6-3, 3-2 in the Big Ten at Northwestern. Wildcats 4-4, 2-3 in the Big Ten. We're at Wrigley Field for this one. Chicago, Illinois, 55 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 6-mile-per-hour winds. Now we know that Iowa's going to have fans out at this game. I mean, you still can expect a Northwestern crowd, but Iowa supposedly has buses coming to Wrigley, so it won't be maybe as big of a home advantage as you might want if you're backing Northwestern. And I am backing Northwestern here. I got a Northwestern at plus 5.5, and it was 3 cents more expensive to have the 5.5. And a lot of people are like, why bother? The 5.5, these are dead numbers. Why bother for me in this spot is because this total is so low. I mean, we're talking ludicrously low. Let's go over it right now. It's at 30.5. So at that, when we're talking about numbers this low, now I start thinking about, you know what? I'll take the 0.5 point for 3 cents. This total opened up at 31. It's dropped a 0.5 point down to 30.5. From a spread perspective here, and Wine Time says Iowa fans are the real deal, but he does like Northwestern in this spot. Wine Time wants the under 30.5. Let's get into the spread. We have the first half up, so let's move over to the full game. From a full game perspective here, move over here. We have the only 5.5 left is at Pinnacle. This opened up at 6. It dropped to 5.5, and then it dropped to 4.5 Monday morning at 10:30. It lasted at 4.5 for about 8 hours. Then it got back up to 5.5. So there's been a 0.5 point move towards Northwestern on this one. Get over to the cash flow for this one again, starting at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. You have just 36% of the tickets on Northwestern, but 57% of the cash. Big bets have come in on Northwestern. From a total perspective, 43% of the tickets and 72% of cash are on the under. There's been a lot of issues at these two schools, ton. Recently, all the problems are at Iowa. Of course, in the offseason, all the problems were at Northwestern. So the interim athletics director at Iowa announced Monday that Brian Ferentz, the offensive coordinator, would not be back next season. His dad, Kirk, the head coach, was nonplussed about the situation, clearly angry. In Northwestern, of course, Pat Fitzgerald, left. He, at the time, was the second longest tenured head coach in the Big Ten behind Ferentz. So we have both of these schools, rocked by these situations. But Northwestern has started to come out of it, and Iowa is fresh in the heart of it. Now, Iowa comes in off a bye. Cade McNamara is out for the season. So, this quarterbacking that we've seen from Iowa is abysmal. They snapped their 3-game winning streak. They snapped their 3-game winning streak with a 12-10 loss at home to Minnesota's 3.5 point favorites. And, Northwestern doesn't do very many things well. And one of their worst situations is against the run. They get gashed on the ground, and Iowa is going to run the ball right into the teeth of Northwestern's defense and probably succeed. And we know that Hawkeye defense is very strong. They're 6th in the nation, allowing just 14.5 points per game. Iowa also saw Brendan Sullivan last year. Ben Bryant, of course, doubtful here, and they saw Brendan Sullivan last year. They beat the Wildcats 33-13. That was at Kinnick. Sullivan did not look good. 23-30 was fine, but 159 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Sullivan here is 6 touchdowns, 3 picks so far this year. He's completing 63.8% of his passes. The Northwestern bounced back from that 17-line loss at Nebraska by beating Maryland at home 33-27 as 14.5-point dogs. Do I want to back Northwestern after they looked so good against Maryland at home? No, it's not the perfect situation to back Northwestern. But what's going on, the issues going on in Iowa are real. They're real, and I expect Northwestern to take care of business. The difference between these two teams is minimal. It's not big. They've had 2 common opponents. Penn State beat Iowa 31-0. A week later, they beat Northwestern 41-13. I just don't see a big difference here between these two squads. And the one is all up in arms over what's gone on to the coaching staff, and the other Northwestern team is coming out of it. So I'm on Northwestern plus 5.5. Take it away, Daby Cab. Iowa Hawkeyes, Northwestern Wildcats.
Yeah, that's the only side I would be on here. I mean, and the total, the only way I would look would be under. I think this could be like a fucking 9-6 type ball game, or 13-10 wouldn't surprise me, something like that. The Wildcats, they upset Maryland as a 13.5-point dog, so that was a big win for them. And this Iowa team, like you said, it hasn't helped that they've lost. They lost both tight ends. They lost Lackey. They lost Eric All, QB. But their QB that they lost, Cade, wasn't doing much better. But not much better is still 51.1%, because Deacon Hill has been awful. Like you said, he's only completed 37.8% of his passes for 427 yards and 2 touchdowns, along with 3 interceptions. Just absolutely awful. Only thing for unders bettors you got to hope for is that defense doesn't score points there. I think this game is, like I said, perfect for something that's just very low scoring, and for 5 points in a low scoring game, that's, you're asking a lot. So I would look Northwestern where you're at. It's going to be physical between both these two teams, and I don't see a lot of points either way. So I like what you're doing here. I'm not betting this one though, but I do like it.
It's going to be, I like these low scoring bum fights. So I'm looking forward to watch this one. And can you imagine the way Northwestern started the season, that they could get a bowl game? I mean, we're talking about a Northwestern team that all of a sudden has hope against an Iowa team that's self-destructing. Oink, oink in the chat is on the under. Oink,
this is a season where I think a lot of some of these teams that, let's say have like one loss, I think they're very vulnerable to get another loss when we get to like conference championships and things like that. We're going to see a 2-loss team in the playoffs this year, I think.
There you go. My first spot here on the best bets is Northwestern plus 5.5. Let's move on to best bet number 2. So when we did a best bet video early, we started doing it about 3 weeks ago. I gave out Cincinnati as a best bet, and it was an atrocity. It was against Iowa State. Iowa State beat them 30-10. Cincinnati was at home and favored, and it was just horrible. It was such a bad look. It's just stuck with me. It stung for weeks. And I'm going back to the Bearcats again. And it took a lot for me to move this into best bet range and want to pull the trigger on a Bearcats team that's lost 6 straight against a UCF team that's also lost 5 straight. Look, the Big 12 has not been kind to these two teams. We're at Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio, 62 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 7 miles per hour. From a line history standpoint here in this one, we are sitting at, I got 4. It's moved to 3.5 at Pinnacle. It moved from 4.5 to 3.5 on Tuesday. The other books are still at 4. They've shown no concern. Pinnacle at that number. Haven't moved it, haven't juiced it. From a total perspective, it's high. It's at 59. 59. It's moved 2 cents to the over. It's not moved off of that number at 59. Claims to be a sharp number. From a cash flow standpoint here, you guys will see similarities in, my best bets. They always have a low number of tickets and a higher number of cash. I'm always going up against the public spot, and that's what's happening here. 81% of the tickets are on UCF, and the line has moved slightly towards Cincinnati. Also, 81% of the tickets are on UCF and just 46% of the cash, because Cincinnati's lost people a lot of money, and I'm one of them. But we talk about, where is the angle? What is your angle? Where is the biggest edge? And in this game, there's a monstrous edge. And it's, you could say all you want about how Emory Jones has been awful this year with all these expectations. Brady Lechtenberg came in. He didn't look good either. Maybe he looked better than Emory Jones. Look, they're both not succeeding. But it's this rush attack for the Bearcats. They're 6th in the country running the football. And where do UCF struggle? On the ground. They can't defend the ground at all. They get destroyed on the ground. And Cincinnati is going to do that to them. They're both coming off lengthy losing streaks. UCF lost their 5th in a row, 41-28 at home to West Virginia, as 6.5-point favorites. John Reese Plumlee, 274 yards, threw 3 interceptions. He's not very good, but it's this Black Knights defense. They allow 464 yards of total offense, 286 on the ground. So yes, UCF is a very good offensive team, but they can't keep points off the board. 108th in the country in total defense. And against the run, they're 130th. Against the 6th best running team in the nation. So yeah, Cincinnati's not very good. 6 straight losses, coming off 45-13 loss at Oklahoma State, 7.5-point dogs. But they're going to be able to control the clock, and they're going to be able to run the ball. And I bet them +4. The Bearcats, who Mortal Kombat finishing move pulled my heart out, beating and threw it on the ground. It ruined my whole day. I'm going back to the well. What do you think about this spot, Daby Cab, UCF Cincinnati?
I promise you, and I promise anybody listening or anybody that tunes in for the first time, I would not just agree with you just to agree with you, especially on games that I'm not betting. I would tell you what I thought, because I know that's what you need to hear. But you took the words out of my mouth when you talked about the rushing. I mean, both of these teams have potent rushing attacks, right? But the one difference is UCF has been atrocious at stopping the run this season. The Knights here, they're the 4th worst team in the nation at stopping the run. Just absolutely terrible. And this is a Bearcats team that's coming off a 277-yard rushing game, and they're ranked 6th in the nation at running the ball. UCF makes its living running the ball, but Cincinnati's defense is as bad as they've been. They haven't been dominant, right? They are good at stopping the run. They're ranked 42nd in the nation. So there's where the difference lies for me. Both these teams are going to want to run the ball, and I think one of them is going to be able to do it without question, and that's Cincinnati.
All right. So there is best bet number 2 for me. We close the show with best bet number 4 from Daby Cab. Little night action for Daby after the blunts. He's going to need to get his heart rate down after the 12 p.m. slate. He gets back at it. It's going to be wild for you, dude. Yeah. He gets back at it at 7:30 p.m. because you're also these huge, high-profile games too. I go out to the shelter and watch the homeless fight when I bet football, but not you. You like
shit, Jimmy. Usually it works out for me. I tell you right now. I know I haven't done the NFL with you on Sunday yet, but I'm up units in the NFL. I'm up in the NBA at the moment. MLB went great. I am not doing well in college football. So this weekend we get it right. And you held it down for our best bets last week. I'm gonna make sure I bring it this week. We're cashing out again.
I love it. I love it. Let's talk about your final spot on the board, my man. Kentucky Wildcats 5-3, 2-3 in the SEC. Mississippi State Bulldogs 4-4, 1-4 in the SEC. Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville, Mississippi. 62 Fahrenheit, clear, 2 miles per hour. Perfect football weather. We get into the NBA card with It's Derl right after this. Let's break this one down. Little night action. Mississippi State, Kentucky. We have this total sitting at 46. It opened at 46. No movement. None. From a side perspective, we have this sitting at, move over here, sorry, at 4.5. Kentucky 4.5-point favorites. They opened up as 3-point favorites. We've had a 1.5 move over to Kentucky. So let's see what's going on with the public action. Are they on Kentucky here? We have 88% of the tickets and 92% of the cash on Kentucky. So public on Kentucky, big bets on Kentucky. At least the markets moved 1.5 points. So at least you see movement in that, getting off that key number of 3 to 4.5. 50-50 on the total. That's why it hasn't moved. 53% of cash on the under. Sharp total number. Kentucky comes in off their third straight loss, 33-27 at home to Tennessee is 3.5-point dogs, while Mississippi State had their modest 2-game winning streak snapped in a 27-13 loss at Auburn as 6.5-point dogs as well. Take it away for us here, Daby Cab. Final best bet: Wildcats, Bulldogs.
I'm frustrated I wasn't on Auburn last week because I said it. Even as bad, that was a bum fight. I'm surprised you weren't on Auburn last week. Actually, now that I say that. Mississippi State couldn't hang with them. It was just flat out. The Bulldogs, they were held to 16 for 31 passing for 161 yards. They were only 2 for 12 on third down. And I said it when we capped the game, wherever we capped it, I think it was on the live show because it was a later game. Mississippi State just doesn't match up. Even though the SEC isn't as tough as it has been notoriously, they just do not match up on the front line on offense or defense. I know senior quarterback Will Rogers, he should be back here, but we watched one of these games live, C-Mac and I. We couldn't stop talking about how bad Rogers looked throwing the football. Maybe the injury break has helped him, but he's still questionable. Like, I don't know for sure if he's going to be back here. All this being said, this line might feel like bait, and it kind of does with the Wildcats here. But I don't care. I just think the line's wrong. I think they're the better team. Kentucky is 29th nationally against the run, and that is what, this isn't the same offense that we had last year. Ever since Mississippi State's got a new coach, everything's changed. RIP, but they're going to try and run the ball here, and I think Kentucky can stop the run. I think Kentucky wins and covers. I think they're going to build off momentum. They played a great game against Tennessee last week. And one thing that I will say is Leary, their quarterback, he looked outstanding. He passed for almost, 375 yards in that game. This Bulldogs defense is not great against stopping the pass. And Leary was the thing. He looked outstanding against Tennessee. And I think Kentucky here, I think they roll against Mississippi State. I'm going to take Kentucky first half and full game.
Double up spot on Kentucky. Let's grab your full game line here. It's 5.5 at Will Hill, 5.5 at my bookie. So, yes, it's a public spot, but at least you see the market and the books being concerned. Still get the 4.5 here, and you can still get the 4.5 at -110 at Bookmaker. Even Heritage has moved it to 5.5. So full game for Daby Cab here is -4.5 at -110. And we'll do his first half line shopping right now. First half. Here we go. Your first half line shopping for Kentucky, -2.5. We see Ben Online must give that -110. They do.
You don't have a 4 anywhere out there?
No, can you find one? No, because most of the books have now moved it to 5.5.
No, this is why I should have tweeted it out. I guess I was just waiting for the show. It's fine. It is what it is. I want people to be able to get what's available anyways. So it is what it is.
You got it locked down. There is our NCAA football Saturday best bets. We're coming off a 3-2 show last week. We want another winning show right here. This is the review of our action. Daby's on Texas -4, -106. Texas A&M first half +2.5, -108. Notre Dame Fighting Irish first half -1.5 at -105. I am on Northwestern +5.5 at -113. I'm on Cincinnati +4 at -110. And Daby Cab is on Kentucky full game -4.5 at -110 and first half -2.5 at -110. And that is our action for today. Daby Cab, thank you so much for rolling with us. Please follow Daby Cab on Twitter at Daby Cab on X, and also Medicate Mondays, 11 a.m. every Monday, and his NCAA football live stream. You can also catch him right here on Betting with the Bag every Thursday, and that will continue every Thursday through college basketball as well. Daby Cab, thank you, my man. Any last words for the Cappers supporting the show?
Oh man, it is the cappers that support the show. The reason why we have a show, and you guys are the best fucking cappers out there. I love, working with you guys out there in the chat and you, Jimmy, up here. I appreciate you guys. Much love. Let's get that fucking cash, man. I'll see you soon.
There he is. Dabra Cadabra right there. We move from NCAA football to NBA, and we have just the man for the job. Our most successful NBA capper through his first 2 seasons, the last 2 years on our show, is back for season number 3. Please welcome from Los Angeles, California. We got Darryl Rice here rolling with us. It's Derl. What's good? How are you?
What's going on, Jimmy? What's going on, man? Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday, man. I'm a little under the weather today, brother.
Oh.
So a little cold caught up with me. And I'm still going to kind of tough this out, man. But it's always good to see you, man. Any day on this side of the grass is a damn good
day. Good day.
Yeah.
And let's battle your cold and sickness with winners. Let's fight it. Let's fight it with cash. How about we do that?
Absolutely.
Darryl, I have moved into the black on the season with the Timberwolves and the Raptors last night. My 2 sides. Now I did lose on the full game under in the Raptors game, but moved into the black at 5-4, and I'm pumped up. Let's get right to work with It's Darryl. Thank you for joining us, my guy. 4-game slate. We start at 7 p.m. Eastern with the Toronto Raptors, who were so good to me last night in a dominant victory. 2-3, 0-1 on the road. The Philadelphia 76ers, 2-1, 1-0 at home. Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Watching Schroeder go at Dame, they were saying that he was bullying Dame. Bullying Dame. That's what Schroeder was doing. He also spoke afterwards, and I mean, 11 assists. He had what, 1 turnover in his first 4 games? Was that right? I forget. I mean, he's playing spectacular. He's taken that MVP of the World Cup for Germany right on to the Raptors, and we're very, very excited about what he's doing at point. Now, we can't shoot well every game. Most games will shoot around 30% from 3. But some nights, if we ever shoot well, it's over because our defense is very good and our transition game is very good as well. Let's get into this spot here. Of course, the Raptors broke their 3-game losing streak. Also, maybe the loss to Portland, who was on the second half of back-to-back, doesn't look quite as bad after Portland went into Detroit and took care of business there.
Yeah, they did.
That helps because we were pretty down and out. We were 1-3 and in the dumps. But all it took was a beating of the Bucks and putting up 130 points to get through that. For these Sixers, their new life here without Harden and Tucker begins. We have not seen them since Sunday when they took out Portland by 28 points at home. And the game before that was when they came to Toronto and beat the Raptors, despite the Raptors shooting 53% from 3. Then they beat us pretty soundly in that one. And let's move into the line history here for this one and the cash flow. NBA right here with Derl on Pub Sports Radio, betting with the bag. We have, move over to Pinnacle, sitting here with the Sixers at -8.5. Opened up at 8, went to 8.5, went to 9. We've had a half cent of buyback. It's still juiced towards Toronto at 8.5. From the total scenario, we're sitting at 215.5. This opened at 218. If I didn't lose on the under yesterday, I probably should have bet this immediately because, I mean, we saw the Raps put up, as I said, 53% 3-point shooting and still only get to 107 points against the Sixers. 59% of the tickets and 34% of the cash are on the Sixers, so there are bigger bets coming in on the Raptors. And from a total scenario, 55% of the tickets, 66% cash is on the under, and the market is moving in that direction. Obviously, I've got last night's game in my head. I do not want any basketball team after they look spectacular.
Right.
I don't want them 24 hours later. But it felt really good to watch them play well. Take it away for us here, Darryl. Raptors, Sixers, Wells Fargo.
Yeah, this one here, you're right about that. You're right about taking a team that looked really, really good the night before on a back-to-back. Quite frankly, it's just I couldn't get to a side. And if you look at the scoring ultimately, when it comes to even first quarter, first half scoring, this team is literally neck and neck. So I just didn't have enough juice behind it, in my own opinion, to make me take the Raptors first half. But if you look at them, these guys are putting up about 66 points. They're right there in the middle of the field when it comes to first half scoring. I wanted to go to something really that was cashing for us all last year, if you remember it. And that's Jakob Poeltl. And I think that Jakob Poeltl's points, rebounds, and assists is low enough to where you can jump on it just based upon the lackluster night he had. Now, against them, I want to say Jakob Poeltl's points, rebounds, and assists on the game they played, the last game they played, if you look at it, it was terrible. 6 points, a total of 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. Now, that's just not how he gets down. He's at least going to give you 10 boards, and he's at least going to give you 10 points. That's just the bare minimum. So I'm going to the well with this one. I think I'm going to be cashing this a lot. We did Jakob Poeltl last year, but I think we can jump on the train while the numbers are still low and get some Jakob Poeltl money. So Jakob Poeltl, at least, you can do over 18 and a half. I've got at least 19 points, rebounds, and assists. I believe that number cashes absolutely today.
It's one of those things that if Precious Achua is not on the floor, then because he's a game time decision, if he's not out there, then Poeltl plays a ton. Achua is capable of taking minutes away from Poeltl at this point, and we've seen it happen. So,
well, it happened last game. I mean, he only had 24 minutes, and he was still at that 16 PRA. He was at that mark with 16 total. So if you're telling me all I need is another, bucket and, a rebound or an assist, I think he's got it in him. 6 points is just extremely low for how good Jakob is. So if he doesn't play, that's what I'm banking on Precious side. If he doesn't play, then we've beat the number. But this should probably move up a little bit closer to game time. But I do like the 19.
Locked in over 18 and a half points, rebounds, and assists for Jakob Poeltl. You are in business. Derl has fired away. At this point, nothing for me in Raptors, Sixers, although I probably should have got in on that under early. It's, I'll let it go. Next up for us, 8 p.m. Eastern, the Detroit Pistons, 2-3, 1-2 on the road at New Orleans Pelicans, 3-1, 1-1 at home. We're at Smoothie King Center, New Orleans, Louisiana. Another squad here on a back-to-back. We touched on it. So this is also their third game in 4 nights, fourth game in 6 nights. They lose 110-101 at home to Portland, and it was a surprise. The Pistons seemingly were in control early. The Pelicanos come in off a 110-106 win at OKC last night. So we have 2 teams on the second half of back-to-backs. It was a great bounce-back spot for the New Orleans Pelicans, after losing by 28 on Monday to the Warriors. And there was concern as well with the Pelicans, without BI game time decision here again. Right. And, 67 points the Pelicans put up in the second half, led by CJ McCollum, 10-17 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3, 11 boards for McCollum, something we're not used to. Another thing we're not used to is the leader in assists for the Pelicans, Young Zion. Young Zion with 8 assists, 10 boards, 20 points. I mean, almost a triple-double of action. Justin McElvey, the Stacks play of the day is in, and it is the Detroit Pistons +7 for Justin. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one during game time decision as well. BI game time decision. He's not being ruled out at this point. When we take a look at the line history here for this spot, we'll start with the total. It's sitting at 218. This opened up at 219. We have a 1-point drop on the total. And from a point spread perspective, we have it sitting at 7.5 right now. So this opened up at 7.5. Detroit was -105. Now they're -114. That's why you see 7s on the board and not 7.5s. And when we get over to the cash flow on the total, which has dropped a point. 73% of those tickets are on the under, but just 38% of the cash. So interesting that they did drop it. And then 90% of the tickets, 94% of cash on the Pistons bounce back spot here, in New Orleans. Take it away for us, Derl. Game 2 of the 4-game card, Pistons Pelicans.
Yeah, this one's no play for me here, only because of the injury report. I just don't know what's going on with Jalen Duren. Like we said, we don't know what's going on with Brandon Ingram as well. You did see the Pelicans kind of get down by a lot of points yesterday against OKC. So are the Pelicans just not really good yet, trying to find their footing, if you will, or is OKC really a good squad? And we can ask that same thing about Detroit, and that is, hey, are they going to be a lot better than they have been in the past now that you've got some solid players here? But there's just too many injuries here, primarily Jalen Duren. That center there, he is the guy that makes, that team go, if you want to say that. And Brandon Ingram, he's another one. Now at the 7.5, that seems like a lot for the Pelicans coming off of a back-to-back. And like I said, letting OKC kind of have their way with them, having to kind of tough it out and win that game ultimately in the second half. But right now, I just can't get a good read on New Orleans. So it's just a pass for me for right now. You got to wait until you see that injury report and if they're playing for sure. So Justin has Detroit. If I had to take a side, it would be Detroit. But I would feel really comfortable knowing if Jalen Duren's playing, knowing if BI is playing.
Let's move on. We move on. The second half of both teams on the back-to-back, not a comfortable situation for me, really. And then seeing all the tickets and money on the Pistons, expecting a bounce back. Don't know about Durant. I get it. Let's move on to 9 p.m. Eastern. The Orlando Magic 2-2, 1-2 on the road at Utah Jazz, 2-3, 2-1 at home. The Magic had a tough Monday, Tuesday in Los Angeles. Monday, they lose at the Lakers 106-103 in a tough, tight one. Another low-scoring game like their one in Portland. And then they lose 118-102 to the Clip Show. And that was a really fun game between the Clips and the Lakers last night. Long one, late into the night. I enjoyed watching. I only watched the fourth quarter and overtime, but it was very fun to tune into. And then we have the Jazz. I had them in their first game of the year at home against Sacramento, and they lost badly. And I went right back to the well against the Clippers and was rewarded for doing so. And I've not moved on them since. And I wanted them last night, but the market was moving towards Memphis, and it didn't make sense, and it kind of got me off. It was a similar market move as we saw with the Timberwolves, and I was on the Timberwolves, but I wasn't going to fade the Jazz. I don't want to fade the Jazz at home. We got a note from Dan Kelly earlier on the show, and he said, if the Magic have a lead at halftime, look to get on the Jazz. The elevation should bother the young magicians, as they've been at sea level for a while now, and they're playing their third game in 4 nights. Oh, that's beautiful. And
that's absolutely right.
And our guy, Jose, has it locked and loaded. I love that. So that's an important move here. So we have the Magic had yesterday off, and now they are in Salt Lake City. And for the...
But now, Jimmy, can you confirm this? Because I'm seeing now that the Magic is actually favorite. Well, Magic is -1. I could be wrong.
Well, let's discuss this with the Jazz on the second half of back-to-back, because we've already heard BJ's best bet on these Orlando Magic. And yes, the Magic are favored, 1.5 point favorite.
Yeah. So that's flipped. The complete.
It is flipped. Yeah.
I don't know why it would do that. I mean, everything points toward this being a Jazz spot, to be honest with you. And if you look, I was looking at their points. Right now, Utah is sitting comfortably, like they're 8th in the league with first half points. And the last game they played, they put up almost an 80 points in the first half. And we've got Orlando that's sitting way down. Right now, I see them at 14th. So if we're looking at points from a points perspective, this should be a Jazz spot. And if you do like the Jazz, if you do like the Magic, then I can honestly agree with what BJ said. I'd take them early, because between Jazz and Denver are the only two spots with this elevation issue. So at the same token, I guess the rebuttal to that really is that these are young legs. I think Orlando's got one of the youngest teams in the league right now, but it is 3-4. So they played LA hard, ultimately lost that game. That was a push. The Lakers, the Clippers got them, but this is a pretty tough team as well. Like the Magic and Detroit, they're gonna break a lot of banks this year. A lot of people are going to bet against these two squads, and they're going to come out on top. I think these are a lot better squads than what we've known of in the past. So I'm saying all that to say that it's a no play for me. I don't like how that line is moved because I would lean toward the Jazz, but right now they're home dogs. So I don't know if that's reverse line movement. I don't know if that's sharps coming in and betting the Magic right now, because the majority of the side is still on the Jazz. But you have that type of line movement. So no play for me on this.
69% of the tickets and 92% of the cash on the Orlando Magic. It is cash
That's crazy.
that's moving this
Cash
line.
driven, huh?
Oh yeah.
So is that considered sharps moving on them, or is that a little bit of sharp and public? When
well,
you've got that much.
no, you have to think that these are big bets and sharp action on the Magic
Right.
here. Expecting the Jazz to not succeed here in an early back-to-back for them.
Listen, they were down by 11, and when these guys get hot, the Magic can play 5 out. They really can. Like, they've got shooters on that squad, man. They've got some serious shooters. I mean, they were down by 11, and Gary Harris went on a route where he made 5 consecutive threes, and nobody would close out on him. So thinking that they could be a pushover, I can totally understand why the Sharps would take the Magic. Even though they lost those 2 games against the LA squads, they played them well, Jimmy. They played them well. So this is going to be an easier opponent, if you ask me. But I would still look at the Jazz. I think Banchero's a shooter. I do. I think so, saturated. But he's kind of hit or miss. But if he's not shooting on the outside, he could definitely get a shot wherever he wants. I mean, that guy's he's almost unstoppable. Give him a couple more years.
No action at this point. I don't want to fade the Jazz at home. I don't want to fade them ever this year. I think that's not going to be a winning proposition, but maybe, looking back at it, maybe this does make sense to do that here. The Jazz looked so good against the Memphis Grizzlies last night.
Everybody's going to look good against Memphis right now.
Yeah.
Everybody is. You've got Adams that's out for the year. You needed him. You got Ja who's not playing right now. Like they're just going to get beat up on. That's a prop team right now. You look at the matchup and then you just take the props. But everybody's looking good against Memphis.
Well, let's move on to the final game on this card and see if we can mine a winner on this one. We have our Cappers contest show starring Jose Bouquet and myself starting in 13 minutes. So let's get this one locked and loaded. Spurs, Phoenix Suns is next up for us. And we just saw these two teams play in a wild 115-114 win for San Antonio in Phoenix. And now they get right back at it. There were 129 points scored in the matchup that we just saw. Again, the Spurs were down 63-45 at the half, and they came all the way back. The Suns were held to 19 points in the fourth quarter. Obviously, injury issues have been affecting the Suns early, and let's talk about this one here. We have a total. Let's start with the total. The total is sitting at 227. It opened up at 225.5, so we've gone up 1.5 to 227. And from a point spread scenario, we have the Suns 8.5 point favorites, and that 8.5 point favorite is juiced. It opened up at 7.5 and moved to 8, and now 8.5. Let's get over to the cash flow as well for this one. Booker is a game time decision, and Beal is out. This is a healthy Spurs squad. From a cash flow spot, we have 43% of the tickets and 65% of the cash on the under, and yet this total has climbed 1.5. And then we have 91% of the tickets and 98% of the cash on the Suns. Expecting a bounce back spot here, and after they sort of got embarrassed at home. And it's not like the Spurs played that well, shot 37.8% from three, 46.7% from the field. It wasn't like they played that well, but the Suns turned the ball over 19 times and shot 46% from three, shot 50% from the field. What was it that hurt them? Grayson Allen didn't look good, minus 12, but KD puts up 26 points, shoots 12 of 19 from the field. You're supposed to win that game. Jokic has 15 or 12 boards. What went wrong, and what do you expect will happen here? Take it away for us, Derl. Our final game on the board: Spurs Suns at Footprint Center.
Yeah, you ready for this analysis?
Oh,
are you ready for this one?
Oh,
this is a real simple, easy analysis.
This is the first time all year.
Give me Phoenix Suns first half minus. I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is.
You ready for this? Here's my analysis. I don't give a fucking shit. I don't give a fucking shit. So yeah, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fucking shit. I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is.
First one of the year. Suns first half. I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is. Take it away, Darryl.
So, you know how I like to cap games when I'm looking at the scoring and how things are very lopsided. Though, people have different ways of capping games. Narratives, numbers, situations. I try to find things that are very, very lopsided. So the first thing I noticed, even in a little montage there, man, I used to be skinny, bro. I need to get back to that. Those were some skinny pictures of me. I'm like a fat fuck right now. Looking like a goddamn Krispy Kreme donut. So anyways, Phoenix Suns, 4th in the league in first half scoring. They're tied for 4th in the league. They're behind, of course, Boston, who's number 1. You might as well just be printing Boston tickets right now. These guys just seem impossible to beat, but they're tied for 4th in the league in first half scoring. San Antonio is second to last in the league in first half scoring. So you're getting 50 points with San Antonio, and you're getting 60 points with Phoenix here. Give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm sorry about that. And so what I also noticed are the opponent's points per game. So if you look at the opponent's points per game, Phoenix is actually first in the league with how many opponents' points they have in the first half. 47 points that they're allowing opponents. San Antonio is right at 20th in the league. So what you're seeing here are numbers that are completely lopsided on the amount of points Phoenix scores and amount of points they allow their opponents to score. And San Antonio being the same thing, the amount of points that they score and the amount of points that their opponents score. So looking at Phoenix scoring a lot of points in the first half, looking at San Antonio not scoring any points in the first half, the plays definitely have to be the Phoenix Suns. Now, you see that big drop-off in the second half. For whatever reason, Pops makes those adjustments, whatever you want to call it, but these guys come back in the second half. So I really do like Phoenix Suns. I got it at -5, Jimmy, but I don't care what that spread is.
Well, there are 4.5s available at -110, so let's lock you in for that for record-keeping purposes. Suns first half -4.5, -110. Darryl's, I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is. Play of the day. He's also got Jakob Poeltl over 18.5 points, rebounds, and assists, 2 spots. I'm interested in your I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is. Play of the day. I don't expect the same script as what we saw last game. These two teams just faced each other, but I don't really want to be on the side with 98% of the cash, but at least the market's moving in the direction of the Spurs. And yeah, BJ, we don't know about Booker right now. He's a game time decision, but Beal is out
I think he plays.
You
I think he plays. Yeah. I do. The news that came out was at first there was no timeline. Then all of a sudden he's questionable. I mean, come on, man. These coaches are getting ridiculous. They're lying through their teeth. But come on. We were just said there's no timeline. Vogel said that last night. There's no timeline whatsoever. Then all of a sudden he appears as questionable. He's a day away. So I think he does. If he doesn't, in the next 2 games, he's on it.
You are locked and loaded, Derl. 2 spots on the board for you. Suns first half -4.5 and Pirtle over 18.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Please follow our guy Derl on X at It's Derl. Derl, thank you so much for making time for us. You can catch him every Thursday right here. Betting with the Bag, coming to us live from Los Angeles, California. Derl, any last words for the Cappers here supporting the show?
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all, man. I will see you on next Thursday. Enjoy the rest of the day.
There he is. Darryl Rice. That is our show for today. We have the Capper Show popping off in 6 minutes. Let's do a quick review of action here on Pub Sports Radio's Betting with the Bag. BJ's best bet in NBA Magic Moneyline. BJ. His best bet in NFL Steelers Moneyline. Die Hard MMA Podcast has a couple spots. Got a Bonfim and Bonfim, their brothers, and Mura Parlay. Bonfim, Mura Parlay for Clint, start of the Die Hard MMA Podcast. I guess I would have some interest in that. We'll have our horse racing show going on all day, but I'm going to pop that in the chat for you guys. So this is it. It's a Bonfim Mura Parlay. Pop it in right now. There you go. Gogster's on first period, both teams to score at +140 in Kings Senators. Gogster's on the Red Wings +102. He's on no goal first 9 minutes in Carolina, New York. He's on the first period under 1.5 in Islanders, Washington. I'm going to join him on that. I'm on the Islanders -1. For my NHL, I got the Islanders -1 at +136, Leafs -1 at +155, Oilers -1 at +118, and I'm going to add the Habs, and I'm going to add the first period under 1.5. Then Gogster's on the Wild first period -105. He's on both teams to score in Dallas, Edmonton first period, and he's on the Habs at +114, Habs being the Canadians. And then that's our action. We stayed off the late games. Gogster's on a same game parlay here, Tennessee +6.5 and the under 45.5. Not quite a teaser, but same game parlay. That's at -125. I'm off the game at this point in Thursday Night Football. Then in college football, I'm going to sit around and decide to make a move, whether or not to make a move on South Alabama. And I'm going to probably add UConn and USF, South Florida, to my action here. There was a slight move to against USF earlier today, which, I was wondering, could this get to 14? So I was kind of watching it. For our best bets, Cabby's on Texas -4. He's on Texas A&M first half +2.5. Notre Dame first half -1.5. I'm on Northwestern +5.5. Cincinnati +4. And Daby Cab has doubled up on the Kentucky Wildcats. Full game -4.5. First half -2.5. Stacks play today is the Pistons +7. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today is the New Jersey Devils -113. Viper NB is on Utah Jazz moneyline. Clarkson over 15.5 points. Columbus, Tampa Bay over 6.5. Rangers moneyline. Vegas -1 and Tampa Bay -1. Derl gave us Pirtle. And he gave us the Suns first half -4.5. We got to roll. Jose and I have a show here in 3 minutes. Thank you guys so much for everything you do, all the effort and work you put into the show. Come on, Breeze, Mally Mal, Jarek White, Bo Jackson, that one dude, Ryan Mueller, Justin McElvey, Andrew G, BJ, Drew Vinsky, Jay Peasy, Nasty Nate, North Ender, Jarek White. Thank you, guys. Wine Time Sports in the house. Thank you all. Ian Shaber, the Sweaty Butcher, Bo Jackson. Thank you, guys. Regis Austin, all you guys. Kadesh Dean. Thank you guys so much for your support. We truly have nothing without you. This is the last bit of sports action I'm putting out. It's all going to be horses for me, and then I've got a nice card Saturday, and I think a nicer card Sunday. Right now, I'm at 6 bets for or I guess 5 because I've already cashed Ball State. But I'm going to add a couple, and then I'll have action tonight. But then it's just Saturday and Sunday for me. Thank you to Jose, who works tirelessly behind the scenes, making these shows look good, and I send him information at all hours of the day and night, and he's working tirelessly for us. So thank you so much, Jose. Saturated, Little Zoe, Res Mob. Thank you guys so much for being here. let's go get that cash, man. We put in all this work and effort. Let's be rewarded, and we have been for a little while. We're running nice now, going on. We're stretching it week after week after week. I don't want to talk about how long it's been. I'd rather just keep winning, but I will tell you as soon as we get to a few months in a row. Because remember last year, 11 straight winning months, February right through December, but didn't have a very good baseball season. But there's no time like the present to get hot, get that fucking money. Leche!